event is starting, and we're live, coming at you through the power of the internet. Yeah, I just said that.
I'm not actually drinking Starbucks. It just looks like it because I'm too lazy to buy coffee cups, so I just clean the Starbucks cup and reuse it. This is homemade espresso.
Is that your poor people Starbucks?
Yes.
Well, actually, I couldn't even find anything because I gave all my rock stars away because I wanted to stop drinking energy drinks again. And so this is all I could find was a cup of Tang. I'm literally drinking Tang.
Tang. Yeah. Remember, guys, I can't see Jerry. This is only fair because he can't see me when I'm messing around with him. So I just had to take his word for it that Tang means Tang and it's not code.
No, it's literally orange NASA drink. So what's up, everybody? Wow, brain's already just completely. All right, show's over. See, this is a Tech Talk episode number 100. We have finally entered into the triple digits, which I think qualifies us as, I don't know, nothing really.
Yeah, and you don't even have an intro that works because your OBS hates you.
Yeah, my OBS really hates me. It's actually a miracle that I got this composition looking this good. And by good, I mean still bad, but just not horribly bad. So, guys, we really don't have anything really planned.
Do we ever?
100th episode. Not really. But I kind of figured, like, for the 100th episode, we would, like, I don't know, be, like, on a yacht, with, like, a big
boats
party.
And hoes.
Boats, yeah. Diamonds and gold.
Boats and hoes.
Hey, thanks, No EXT. The return of the green box. Yes. So if you guys are watching the show, head over to put gaming at the beginning. Don't go to www.youtube.com. Go to gaming.youtube.com. Same everything else. And you get this like really cool interface where chat actually works a lot better too. Well,
speaking of box, should I tell everyone what came in the mail?
Yes, you should actually.
So Mayhem sent me a package of like probably almost every coolant that they make, which I think is kind of funny. Because...
Hey, hold on. Not everybody probably has context of what's going on, so let's just jump into like the whole thing that happened. Let's go recap the events, and then we'll finish with what you received in the mail.
What happened is sometimes the inventors of a product don't make the best social media personnel.
Oh my god.
No, I mean I did a video on it, so everyone should know. I don't want to go too in depth in that here, where I'd just be repeating myself. Made a video, basically. Some tempers flared on social media against me not liking the pastel issues that I had, and so certain somebody with Mayhems called me out and said that I was a noob and I know how to water cool and I should stick to air cooling and drilling motherboards and stuff like that. So, but I've had a lot of conversation with them behind the scenes because, like I said in the video that follows up after that. If I have the key to making a better product here because I can pretty much like on command change the color of a pastel fluid with my loop, then I owe it at least to the community to try and make to give that information to Mayhems to make a better product. But in the meantime, as like their way of saying sorry, not only did they say sorry publicly, which they did to me and you, Jerry.
They apologized to me because they said that I was fat and I didn't have a job.
Well, he said he didn't have a job. It wasn't him that said you were fat. But anyway.
That's actually true. Yeah, no. We should probably make that absolutely clear. He wasn't the one. It was just somebody. But he didn't exactly, like,
No,
disagree.
That's mean. You shouldn't say that. Yeah. No. Anyway, long story short, I've accepted the apology, and then they asked for my address, and I said, what, are you going to send me that air cooler you promised to send me? And I demanded that air cooler, by the way. I was like, if you're going to offer to send me an air cooler, I want the air cooler. They didn't send the air cooler. I'm disappointed. But they promised to send me like a Noctua unit or something. That way I could stick to what I might know best. But anyway.
At least it wasn't a bomb, though, so hey. Yeah,
they sent over like 4 of their Blitz cleaning kits, the basic kit and then the pro kit. Like every single dye that they possibly have in colors. They sent, which is actually good because I still like the Mayhem's dye quite a bit, which is why you guys saw the UV green post I did earlier on Instagram. I was playing around with that earlier in my test loop. But they also sent me, and this is really cool, and I might actually use this. You guys know I've been doing the rigid tubing. They actually sent me their glass tubing. They have glass tubes that can be scored and cut, and I could replace all of the rigid hard tubing in my loop with glass if I want, like real glass. I don't know how fragile it is. Maybe I'd have to do some sort of a durability test on that if it's more fragile than, say, acrylic.
I'd be curious to see that. I'd love to see if it looks any different compared to, like, the plastic counterpart.
Oh, it would be super clear compared to, like, PETG, because PETG looks a little bit more cloudy than acrylic because it's kind of like, you look down at your thumbnail, you can see all those grooves in your thumbnail. That's how PETG looks up close, where acrylic doesn't have those, what looks like seams in there, I guess, the best way to describe it. But I don't know. The only thing that would kind of suck is you can't bend the glass, so I'd have to do fitting bends instead.
You can't even bend it if you can you heat. You can't like heat it with a torch.
No, I asked them and they said that bending it isn't possible. But I don't know. But they are making actual glass tubes, so I might play around with that. But yeah, they also sent me some of the XT Clear, XT1 Clear, and they also sent me some of what they call their Super Pastel. And it's in like a metal can. I don't know what's different about that from their regular pastel. But anyway, they have been staying in touch with me about some strides they're making in understanding the color change, and actually finally taking it and acknowledging that the color change is not always due to a dirty loop. It can be due to other factors that they're finally figuring out, which is good because we're looking like we might actually see a new product coming out from Mayhem soon that would solve a lot of this color shift issue. And I told them if that's the case, then I might be willing to try again in the future. But anyway, I just thought it was funny that this giant box of just tons and tons of fluids came. That would have to look really weird, right? Because we talk about like the terrorism stuff in the U.S. It's always like you hear the neighbors like they were always getting so many packages. It's like, what must I look like to my neighbors? Like the UPS truck is constantly here. You'll even see like ORMD stickers on these boxes because there's certain regulations when you ship like hazardous chemicals. And this stuff, especially with the Blitz cleaning kits, classified as a hazardous chemical. So you're seeing a box of like hazmat stuff coming into my house. So yeah, I'm probably on a watch list. So.
If I was working in customs, I would pay special attention to the box that has like 300 little bottles of chemicals in it.
I know, you scan it, it's just bottles of chemicals and tubing.
And where's it going to? A guy named Jay-Z.
Because they also sent me this, like tons of soft tubing too. So
it looks like a meth lab in a box, basically.
It does. It's like, order your own meth kit today for the low price of $2.99. You yourself can start your own homegrown business.
No, I watched.
There's an infomercial for you. We'll do that for a skit.
Totally. Have you ever watched that show Drugs Inc.?
Yes, actually I have.
so yeah, there's like an episode where they were showing how they like import drugs into the country by importing the raw ingredients that are used to make the drugs and not the drugs themselves. And like you have all the agents that are like going through the boxes and they're like, well, there's 2 giant bags of this stuff in this box and then another box from the same company shipped this other box, and together these are only used to really make meth or like industrial cleaners for like spacecraft. And it's not going to NASA. So, and they have to let it through, and it's Look, crazy.
I'm gonna open up. It's still sealed. I'm gonna open up right now, live on stream, one of these Mayhem's Blitz Pro cleaning kits, and this just kind of goes more towards your point that you just made, where we talk about things that just look suspicious. Look what's inside here when you open it up. So I'm cutting it open. Right?
I forgot Jay can't see me.
I can't see. I'm going to assume you're sitting there in suspense.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I know. I don't have a knife on me, so I'm using a flathead screwdriver. Don't judge. Okay. What's inside? This is like meth in a box. Look, you open it up.
No, bad knife.
And you get like measuring cups. You get chemical, another chemical, goggles, gloves, and I guess a pH tester. And then
it basically looks like a pool kit. It looks like you're testing your jacuzzi.
It looks like you're making meth. Let's just add a tubing. There. It's like a homegrown meth kit.
That'd be funny. They should even call it like the meth kit, like the water
Order your
meth
box
express
today.
Get your meth.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's that.
Hey, thanks 7.62 worldwide productions up there. I think I missed one earlier too. Sorry about that. Scroll in the box. Boom, boom,
I
boom.
can't
Scroll
get
in the
it.
box. Oh,
damn it! Isn't this is like the worst part about things that fit in a box in a certain way? You can never get it all back in.
Thank you, Reviews by Gary. Thank you, Nick Siesta. Welcome to the Triple Digit Club. Damn,
I can't get my meth to fit back in this box.
I hate that. I had the same problem when I got the monitors from Korea that I ultimately had to send back. They were so dense packed in the box. There was like no way to get them like back in the way. So the boxes were all like bulging when I mailed them back.
It's like, how did this physically get bigger as it came out of the package?
I'm not even joking. There's like some people that get paid a lot of money at packaging companies to figure out how to get shit into the box flawlessly.
Wait.
I had a cousin that worked at the packaging company that did one of the Halos, one of the Xbox Halos. Oh, that was pretty crazy to see how they like take all the Halo boxes. They make the cardboard like perfect so it fits every single box, but they can't scratch up the boxes. So then they have to put another wrap around them and another foam box around them. Somebody gets paid to come up with that.
I'm totally gonna write science bitch on this box in the Sharpie.
I did laugh when I heard that part. And
when Coco Monkey did that?
Yeah.
Science, bitch.
When you're like, yeah, we're going to get all sciencey. And then you just science, bitch, and then it rolls your logo. I was like, oh, my God.
Science week on JayzTwoCents. It should be science year. Screw CES.
Jay, you're killing it, man. You're off to a good start with 2016. Me, I'm still getting my bearings.
All it took was blowing off one of the biggest tech shows in all of the world.
Wait, what?
Well, remember, CES is going on right now.
That's
I should be in Vegas right now covering the same thing everyone else is covering, 25 different perspectives. But this would have been my fifth CES, and I wanted a break. See, CES is fun, I think, for people who get to go with like a team.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Tech Syndicate, right? He rolls with like a group of 4 or 5 people. You got LMG, which Linus rolls with like 9 people or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a big group.
And when you go there by yourself, and even if you bring like a cameraman, there's not much delegation or splitting of duty. So it's just a lot of work, to the point to where I don't feel like there's a lot of viewer benefit or personal benefit that made it worth it for me this year. That's what it really came down. It sounds selfish, but there was no personal benefit to me going this year. So I skipped CES this year in hopes that I can make it to Computex.
I really wanted to go. I really wanted to go to CES, and
that's because
I reached out. Yeah, and I wanted to go get drunk and just walk around and not make it to CES for like the 3rd time. But no, I really wanted to go, and a bunch of companies actually came out in the last like 3 weeks and were like, yeah, we'll pay your full way to come down here. Hey, come hang out at our booth and everything. And it was just too tight.
Yeah, the problem
on the scheduling.
The problem is even with them saying, yeah, we'll pay your whole way in the last 3 weeks, you would have had to stay at like the Motel 6 in Henderson. Yeah. Because everything near the convention center, anywhere on the strip, was completely sold out in October.
I know, it had been like, hey guys, all right, we're closing down the booth right now, and then I grab my sleeping bag and like climb under one of the folding tables. That's how it would have been.
You know, the only thing I can imagine being worse than running around trying to see everything by myself is being stuck in one place. And going with a company to represent at a booth, that'd be like the worst CES experience for me.
Oh, I want to say thank you to Riley, Delaney? He said, Jerry, back when you and Jay and Simone had Tech Talk, you never answered my question. I apologize. He just asked, what was it like working at Microsoft not trying to troll?
No, he said Micro. I think he means Micro Center.
Oh, Micro Center. I didn't actually work at Micro Center. Okay, next question. No,
you didn't work in that little snack bar they have in the middle of Micro Center?
I did. I was actually the janitor for a little while, but then I tried out the food court. It was nice. No, actually, working at Microsoft was great for the majority of my career. It was the last 2 years where the company just started kind of going down the shitter. But no, it was a great place to work up until then. I completely planned on being there my entire career. 7.62 Worldwide Productions, thank you, said, wow, the craziest thing happened. Microsoft offered me a coding job. Nah, I'm going to be a meth maker. It's probably more secure work.
Yeah. Not to mention the work related, dangers or hazard, on-duty hazard would be a lot less with meth than Microsoft.
Yeah, it'd actually be a lot less running a meth lab. Yeah, it's probably a little more lucrative. Also,
my friend is actually an EMT for AMR, and he sent me a picture not long before the stream started of a fire that he's at right now that literally was a meth lab in a home that went up.
Yeah, they blow up all the time. Where I grew up in Kitsap County, this is kind of a cool story. I used to play Airsoft, for those of you that don't know. Airsoft and Paintball were like my game. And I think you still paintball, don't you, Jay?
No, I stopped paintballing when I had my neck injury from my car accident.
Okay, so yeah, I can imagine that. But anyways, we used to play Airsoft out on like abandoned properties. We would pay the owner. We'd have a team of about 8 people, and then another team would show up, and we'd all split the cost, and we'd pay the owner of some property or dilapidated building, pay him like a couple $100 to just go in and destroy the building because they were going to demolish it anyways. Well, we went to this one building that was out on a farm. It was like out in the middle of the woods. The guy that owned the building was in his little property, probably a couple acres away from where we'd be playing. And we paid him like $200 to go basically destroy a house. It was all dilapidated and like falling down, but we wanted to do like the close quarter combat scenarios. Mm-hmm. And so we go out there and we walk in the front door, and it's like our eyes are burning. We're like, what in the hell is going on? And people are like coming out, they're like, man, one of the guys goes in with a shirt over his face and goes down the stairs, and no shit, there's a meth lab downstairs going like full trot, beakers and shit, and nobody's there. Jeez. Like nobody's there. It's like they seriously just like fired up a batch of meth and took off. So we all like freaked out and got the hell away from the place, and then we called the cops, and the cops actually showed up, and they created a crime scene and a perimeter around it, and like some dude started driving down the road and just did a burnout, turned around. Yeah, took off the other way, and 2 cops jumped in their cars and took off after him. And we were just like sitting there watching the whole thing go down. It's like we didn't even really play Airsoft that day. We just watched like a meth lab get busted. But it was crazy. They literally just fired this thing up. They just left this like massive chemistry thing going on down the bottom. Like I said, our eyes were burning when we walked in the place. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure that's why they left when this process was going on. But I was like, holy shit. So yeah, we were very, very careful about the buildings and stuff we selected. Could you imagine what would happen if they had been there? Like we might have got shot if we ran in the building. I mean, we're all dressed like SWAT team and got like head armor on and guns. We would have got like. We would have been shooting plastic BBs. They would have been shooting like 45 slugs. We've been like screwed.
What could have possibly gone wrong?
Absolutely nothing. So
exactly.
But that's scary. That was like really scary shit. So we were very, very careful about how we selected location. The owner had no idea because the owner obviously had no reason to go drive halfway across his property to look at this dilapidated building ever.
You're just being a little bit.
It was crazy. And we also went to another property once that had some dogs, some pit bulls running around, and we didn't like that very much either. The things we do for our hobbies. I did buy a new paintball gun though. I don't know why because I haven't played paintball in forever. But
the autococker.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it up. $40 for an autococker, like perfect condition. I couldn't.
Let that go. I've shot a lot of different paintball guns. DM5, DM6, DM7, DM8. I didn't have a DM9. I shot a Ego 8, Ego 9, Ego 10.
I have a DM8. That's my primary marker that I have.
Oh, dude, DM8's just so smooth when they're tuned right and have the right.
Yep.
I had a carbon fiber bolt in mine.
I don't have a carbon fiber bolt, but I have the magnetic trigger, so it's like
the problem with the carbon fiber bolts that I had was no matter what kind of lube I used, it would have massive first shot drop off because it would stick a little bit to that carbon fiber. Whereas the aluminum bolt, it was more. See, I tried. There were so many different types of lubes that we tried, but.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
I tried so many different kinds of lubes, no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't get it to slide as smooth as I really wanted.
My bolt was always hanging up on the hole.
Yeah, I know. The very first time it went to move, it just didn't slide as smooth. Anyway, but yeah, my DM8 was. I had pictures of it too. I had one of the rare polished and cobalt ones. They were super rare. But one of my favorite shooting markers that I ever had was my carnivore autococker.
Yeah, no, I used to just lust after the autocockers. I mean, every
you lusted after what?
I lusted after them cockers, dude.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I like to watch some autocockers. I don't know, it's just something cool about because they were the autocockers. I just loved how a lot of the mechanical stuff was on the outside of the gun. So it's like you got to see the bolt and the slide.
Yeah, but it also really sucked when you took a direct shot to those pneumatics if they weren't like actually really tight fitting on those barbs.
Right.
I took a direct shot at my carnivore once, even though the solenoid is on the outside. Is your autococker mechanical? Right, it's not a inductor pneumatic.
Correct, it's the mechanical.
Okay, so where your three-way slide is up front, there's a electronic solenoid on the carnivore, but it's got the same barbs going in and out of it, right? And I took a direct shot to one of those once, and it knocked the barb right off, and then just pissed out all the air out of my tank.
Yeah. So, somebody over in chat was like, "Autococker? What the hell is that?" It's a paintball marker. That was like back in the day, anybody that was like doing professional tournament paintball at one point had an autococker. Like it was usually like a gateway drug. Like they'd get an autococker, that would be their first professional marker, and then they get something like an Angel. Like I remember Angels were like the thing everybody aspired to have.
Yeah, and then Angel over time, what was it? WDP was Angel's company. WDP, I believe it was, because WGP was autococker, WDP I believe was Angel. But anyway, they kind of fell off the charts, and then Dye kind of came out of nowhere. Bob Long. Kingman, of course, was Spider because they were like entry level, really affordable, CO2 guns. When you started dealing with the high end stuff, just like any other hobby, man, it gets expensive. But I miss paintballing. I enjoyed it. That's how I met Coconut Monkey. We were on the same paintball team, and it was I miss it. But the problem was at the end of a long day because we played airball. We didn't do we didn't really do scenario much. We played a lot of airball, speedball type of, and you're screaming constantly, and I just have constant neck pain and headaches and stuff after my car accident. Just ruined that sport for me. It sucks.
Yeah, and it was expensive. I remember I'd spend like, I didn't play that often, but I'd spend $80 or $100 on paint to play for a day.
Yeah, 80. 100 easily $100 on 2 cases of paint because you play something like speedball, you're shooting at 3 or 4 pods a game. Oh
yeah, it'll burn through. Like I used to use a Pinocchio hopper. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have about 430 balls in that thing because I had a hard time reloading because I was a fatty. So they just let me use the Pinocchio. But, oh my God, I'd burn through every single ball in that thing. and still dump a pod in it before the
yeah. I
game
mean,
was over.
I had my die rotor on there, but I mean, I still because I usually played back, and so I was walking on field with 6 pods.
That's crazy.
Not and especially when you played back too. A lot of times you'd start the game with a pod in hand, But I had a lot of fun. It's just like you said, when I was playing paintball, then I wasn't making a lot of money, and I was newly married, and so it was hard to pay $25 for field entry, and then $10 for all day air, and then $100 for paint, and 2 cases still wasn't enough to make it all day. But I do miss some paintball. See, again, just like paintball and computers. I was kind of like the team airsmith. I spent more time working on guns for the team and modifying the guns than I did playing because that was what was fun to me. If you haven't learned by now, I'm a tinkerer. If you can't tell by the cars, the computers, and every other.
I used to be the same way with my airsoft guns. I mean, the paintball guns, I'd rebuild them and put the seals and stuff in them, but I never really did any like big upgrades. I think the biggest upgrade I ever did was I put a magnetic trigger on the die.
Okay.
And to be honest
Instead
with you,
of a spring.
Yeah, you take the spring out, you just put 2 opposing magnets, and it's like feather touch. But the thing that I didn't like about the magnetic trigger was if you ran into a bunker really hard or slammed the gun against something, it would cycle. And I didn't like that.
But it was fun though too, where the Matrix didn't have a lot of recoil, but the Egos did, and you could like turn off the debounce in the electronics, and my triggers were set up so light that you could take the gun. And you could just like smack the tank, and then it would just start auto firing because it was bouncing on the trigger.
You're like bump firing your paintball gun?
Pretty much.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. All right, well, you guys are probably sick of hearing about paintball, but I was excited.
But it was electronic trigger. That's tech.
Yeah, electronic trigger. Actually, the guns are highly electronic now. Like the die, for instance, like you don't have a battery in that thing. It's a paperweight. Everything in that gun is electric. Everything's
changed. That's a good conversation to have Coconut Monkey on because he's an airsmith and he works at a paintball and airsoft store.
Yep.
Everything's changed so much. I mean, the paintball is on its decline again, where it's all but dead. Airsoft really grew, but yeah, everything changed. Like Kingman wasn't around anymore, and everything was like these high-end pneumatics. But the thing was, just like anything else, as the technology progressed, so did the cost drop. So you started getting these low-end $200, $250 paintball guns from like Die, like the Die Proto. It was a fully electronic gun, and it was like $200 and something bucks. So that's why guns like Spider, or Kingman's Spider line just kind of completely fell off the charts because there was no point in having a pneumatic blowback like that, where you could have a fully pneumatic gun for cheap. But even then, it didn't save the sport. It was just, I mean, the sport's still there. Obviously, don't get me wrong, but airsoft is apparently really taken off.
No, airsoft completely blew up. That's why I switched. I ultimately switched from paintball over to airsoft because, one, it's dirt cheap to play. I mean, you can buy 10,000 rounds of ammunition that's like high-quality stuff for under $20.
Cuddy2287 says smart parts is no more. I'm okay with that because smart parts back in the mid-2000s and early 2000s was the one that was patent trolling all the other companies in paintball by patenting or getting a patent issued on the electronic trigger. So then they were going after their competitors, and they were one of the reasons why was it Bushmaster?
Bushmaster.
Yeah, Bushmaster was no longer around, and Bushmaster made some great not entry level, more mid-range pneumatic guns. It was the B2K, I believe, is what the marker was, and Smart Parts put a lot of companies that people really liked out of business because these companies didn't. Smart Parts is kind of like the thermal take of PC, where they had a lot of money and they had good lawyers, but they weren't able to fight it. So basically, they just rolled over on themselves. And then the fact that Smart Parts isn't around anymore makes me happy. The thing that kind of sucks though was one of my favorite markers that I ever owned was a fully customized shocker. I had a lot of fun. It was a toxic shocker. It was one of those special custom milled bodies for like a team. And the thing was piss poor when it came to efficiency, but the thing was super nice in the way it shot. But I'm not the least bit sad to hear that Smart Parts is gone. Coconut Monk is actually texting me right now. I guess he's listening.
He's like, paintball? Paintball?
No, he said airsoft might take a dump after the new laws. Yeah, because airsoft is really picking up, and airsoft is a simulators type of sport where you're simulating war or SWAT.
Yeah, people don't go out in like brightly colored shit and shoot each other with airsoft guns. They go out in full camouflage and ghillie suits. And
let me rant for a minute. Are you ready? You want to do rant 30? Because I know this is going to affect you too.
Let's do it, but first I just want to say thanks to Chris Manning. He had a question. He said, Jay, what are your thoughts on the new Asus motherboard with the built-in EK water blocks? I didn't even know they had built-in water block motherboards.
No, EK has really been making a lot of partnerships lately, which is good.
That's smart.
Because Asus was putting built-in water blocks on their Maximus and stuff, but the problem was they were aluminum. And most people didn't want, obviously you don't want to mix too many metals in your loop. A lot of people were afraid of aluminum. So the first thing you would do, like I did with Red Mist, is rip off the built-in water block to put on something like an EK. So EK is kind of like, why don't we just cut out the waste of that material and just get involved? And I think that's great.
That's awesome.
Okay, so I was actually talking with Coconut Monkey about this the other day because he had to spend extra time at the beginning of the year bringing all of the airsoft guns in their store up to the new law, which is now you have to have an orange trigger guard.
What?
You already. I don't know if this is just California or federal, but California anyway. You already had to have the orange tip.
Yes. Well, yeah, universally everywhere as far as I know.
And Nick, I know you're listening. If I'm missing anything, text me. But you have to have an orange trigger guard as well. So he was literally having to paint the trigger guards on all these guns. And the thing that makes me mad about this is I understand, and I'm coming from the perspective, one, as an enthusiast of firearms.
Yep.
Also with law enforcement in the family that I was talking with about this. Painting the tip orange and the trigger guard orange, I understand that that's to help minimize the amount of accidental shootings that are officer involved, for someone might have an airsoft gun and a cop mistakes it as a real gun. One, the whole fucking gun can be orange, and that cop is not going to treat you any differently if it's a fake gun or a real gun until he has you detained and can ascertain what's happening. It doesn't matter if the gun is pink. They're going to treat it as a real firearm until they have control of the situation. Yep. So no matter how orange you make it, doesn't make any difference to these accidental shootings. And this is directly from law enforcement that I've talked to. I said, if the gun has an orange tip, do you just look at it and go, oh, okay, that's just a toy gun, you're just going to walk up to him? Or are you going to handle that situation as a potential threat? And they're like, of course we're going to handle it like a threat. So that makes no difference whatsoever. Two, Coconut Monkey even showed me a video of a guy firing a completely clear what was that? It was an AR-15, I believe it was. It was completely clear. It looked like a fucking toy, but it was a real gun. So, again, this is more like lawmakers thinking, well, maybe if we just make it more orange, it'll be more noticeable that it's a toy gun. Wouldn't that also mean that as a criminal, you would think, I'm going to paint my gun orange so people don't think it's real?
No, that's what I was going to say. I was just going to say, if I was going to walk into a building and shoot place up, I'd just be like, oh, I'm just bringing my airsoft guns in.
Okay, so here. Coconut Monkey says it's just California. He said the trigger guard and an orange strip on the magazine stock or handguard have to be orange.
Wow, go California.
I don't care if you paint the whole fucking gun orange. It makes no difference to anybody anyway.
Because the thing is, even when we play airsoft, because the guns are all replicas, like the pistols, the rifles, everything, they're all weighted and they look exactly like their real counterparts, barring, except for the orange tips, we still treat them as such. When you're not actively in the game, nobody's allowed to aim the guns at each other. Everybody's supposed to have the barrels at the ground, fingers off the triggers, unloaded. We pulled our magazines out. Back when we used to run games, we'd pull our magazines out at some of the games because you have to treat everything like a real gun. Yeah. If it looks like a real gun, even if it's a toy gun, you should respect it. And the only time, and we also chronoed. That was another thing that we did too, is every single time going on the field, we would chrono the guns because people can hop them up and make them shoot the BBs a lot harder. And then you can start causing some serious damage. So, but yeah, the laws, that's something that always irks me, is all the gun laws. It's like more and more gun laws. And it's like, who doesn't listen to gun laws? Criminals. Criminals just don't listen to laws. They just don't. So it seems to me like you'd want to encourage the people that are responsibly doing things to continue to be responsible, not make it so difficult for them that they no longer can help in a situation.
When you hear people in chat say things like, ban the guns, it's almost, I read that as, I'm stupid. That's the way I read that, because they obviously don't understand the root cause of the problem. That's the way I look at it.
It's sad. Let's see over here. Let's see. Avery Tech said, Ultimaker Original Plus, good for first Ultimaker. For someone who already has a rep wrap, and what are your thoughts on the Tico? The Ultimaker Original is still one of my favorite Ultimakers of all time. I mean, it's a little bit heavy on the hot end, and it looks like it was made out of lumber in your garage. But the thing is just a workhorse. It works absolutely amazing, and honestly, I think it prints every bit as good as the Ultimaker 2. And what are your thoughts on the Tico? I haven't used one yet, but just looking at the design of it, I can't imagine that it's a very good printer. I can't. It's just it just looks like it's very, very cheaply built and very, very lightweight. And I don't have experience with it, so I can't speak with it. But just from looking at it myself, it's not one that would interest me. Jay? It's like, I don't know about 3D printing. What's 3D printing?
No, I don't. I feel like there's so many 3D printers on the market now. It's probably harder for anyone to get into it because they'd be confused by all these brands and all these options.
Every single person now, yeah. It's like even some of the mainstream guys are building 3D printers now. Like the Dremel guys have a 3D printer. I haven't used it yet, so but yeah, no. Everybody and their brother has a 3D printer, and the reason being is 3D printing is a very simple technology. You know, 99% of what's going on in your 3D printer is driven by software, not hardware. I mean, all a 3D printer is 3 motors moving around basically a hot glue gun. I mean, if you want to overly simplify it, that's what it is. So everybody's like, why are there these huge swinging prices in 3D printers? Why are some higher resolution than the other? What it comes down to, ultimately, is which ones have the best build quality and which ones put the most R&D into both the software and the hardware to work like harmoniously together. But at the end of the day, I mean, 3D printers, you can buy a kit and build one yourself for like $300 if you don't want to spend a ton of money.
It was like CES 2013 where remember how last year it was kind of like drones everywhere. CES 2013 was like that with 3D printing everywhere.
Yep.
And it's amazing how far they've come down in price. They were like $5,000 at that time for like a MakerBot.
No, MakerBots when they first started doing the mainstream ones, they were ungodly expensive, and there's still today some people that are making desktop FDM based 3D printers that are in excess of like $3,500, $4,000, and they're the large format ones that can print larger stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that I never really understood in the printer world, and this isn't just 3D printing. This is also desktop like ink printing. Why is it that a large format printer that can print on a 14-inch piece of paper costs 3 times as much as the printer that can just print on 8.5 by 11 when they're exactly the same printer in every single way except for one has a slightly longer cable and a slightly longer rod? That never made sense to me. It's like at that point you're just charging, and the same thing with the 3D printers, the large format 3D printers, they're still using the same diameter rods to guide the head on the X, Y, and Z axis.
So there's a lot more flex in there, right?
Yeah, there might be a little bit more flex in there, but I'm just saying the material's already strong enough to handle it, like even from the smaller printers. All they're doing is just elongating it. I don't know if it's just because they sell less of those printers, they have to charge more for them to recoup their processing.
I feel like if I got into 3D printing, I would want a big one, like a really big one. Like something like, I mean, I see that you talk about this, this is a big 3D printer. It's got like a 15 by 15 bed or something. I'm thinking that's kind of small. Like I would want something huge. Like I could print a Case Labs case.
They do make, I can't remember the name of the company, but there is one that makes, I think it's 3.5 foot by 3.5 foot, I think cubed. And it's like $50,000 or something for this thing, but it's heavily built. It looks like one of the older style CNC machines where it's like super rigid, because you'd imagine the flex that you get at 3 foot across, when everything has to be within tenths of a millimeter is probably important. So I understand why those ones cost a lot, but I don't really understand why going from an 8-inch build platform to say a 15-inch build platform dramatically affects the price. That's the part that I never understood. And even like with the Ultimakers, the Ultimaker 2 Extended is amazing.
Yeah.
But the only difference between the Ultimaker 2 Extended and the regular Ultimaker 2 is the Ultimaker Extended, the cabinet's just built a little bit high, so the Z screws longer and the bed can go down further. But other than that, it's identical in every way to the other printer, but the cost is much higher because it's a larger format printer. And I guess that's the part that I don't really understand, but I think the reason why they do that price difference is because if they were really close in price, obviously everybody would just get the bigger one, right?
Right.
So I think it's one of those things where it's just they create less of the bigger ones because not everybody needs the bigger one.
Well, I mean, I guess if you want to call it desktop, then it's got to be smaller, right?
It's got to kind of be desktop, right? And then they got the little itty-bitty ones. But like the Tico, the one that the person mentioned a little while ago, who has a Tico? Yeah, Avery. The Tico's, I think, is only like $199. I think it's one of the cheapest 3D printers ever made. And it's truly desktop. I mean, the damn thing's so small, you could probably put it in a laptop bag. And the head attaches to it, I believe, through like magnetic balls and joints. So it's very, very easy to like swap out the little print head on it and everything, and the balls. But it doesn't have a heated bed. It's very, very entry level. Yeah, okay, so Tico's $180 according to chat. And so for $180, it's like you don't really have to have huge expectations, and I think it'd be good for you to like play around with and do 3D printing. But if you've ever done 3D printing before, this is the thing 3D printing companies don't advertise, and no company does in their right mind, because who would buy stuff if you told them about all the problems? But you are going to have clogs, you are going to have jams, you are going to have times when the material stops feeding, and you're going to need to figure out how to clean those parts and how to clear those parts. And when you're talking about the Tico, something so tiny and so small, it just looks like it would be a pain in the ass to clean the print head if it went wrong in that thing. It's one of the things I like about the Ultimaker Original versus the Ultimaker 2. If you clog the print head, you literally take a wrench and unscrew the nozzle off the print head, go burn it out with a torch or run a drill bit through it and clean it. And it's like on the Ultimaker 2, you have to do quite a bit more to get the print head out. I think that they have an upgrade coming soon, though, that's going to solve that. But that's the kind of stuff I think about when I get a 3D printer, is how easy is it to clean the print head? How often is the print head going to clog? And those are things that companies don't really talk about. You know, just like I guess it's clear, like, you know, even with like companies that do water cooling and stuff, they're not going to throw statistics at you that's like, oh, product A leaks more than product B, even though they both don't leak a lot. You know, they're not going to like want to say some statistic that bashes their own company. And I think it's the same way with the 3D printing, is they don't put out those common things that a lot of people don't think about. So if you're getting into 3D printing, just know you are going to have to get your hands dirty. It's not like your desktop inkjet printer where you just stick a piece of paper in it and say print, and that's what they all will.
There's too much tweaking involved.
There is.
That's my problem. Is that I don't have the. I would, if I spent, let's say, I spent the hours it takes to play with the model, get it all set up properly, right, for the proper temperature, the speed, get the support material right.
Yep.
And then walk away from it for 9 hours, come back to see it failed in the last few whatever, and then have to start all over. I would just look at that and go, nope, not for me. Fuck it.
No, and that's funny.
Just kind of the way I am.
Chris Perillo actually had the exact same thought on that. As he said, because I asked him, I was like, why don't you get into 3D printing? Because I 3D printed him Darth Vader, and he absolutely loved it. And he's like, because they're just not user friendly right now. And I kind of think about it, and I'm like, well, to me they're user friendly, but I've been doing it since the start, and it's like I know what to anticipate. I know what materials need what heats and what tweaks might be necessary if you have humidity issues and things like that. But the average user isn't going to know that stuff, and they're just going to pull their hair out wondering why shit isn't working.
Right.
And that's where we need to get to. And they're headed in that direction. I mean, I've seen a lot of 3D printing technology this year come out, like auto bed leveling is something that some printers are advertising now. And some printers, it just straight up doesn't work. But on other printers, it does. And bed leveling is one of those things where it's like, for a 3D print to be successful, you have to make sure that the bed is perfectly flat. It can't be tilted at any kind of an angle, or it screws up the end product and measurements of your 3D print. Or it'll come dislodged from the bed, and then you just got goo all over the place. Yeah. So that's the most important part. Well, on the older 3D printers, even like on the Ultimakers and stuff like that, you have to calibrate the bed by hand. And if you do a piss poor job of that, you're going to get a piss poor print.
It didn't help watch you trying to set up that Robo 3D when I was there in last February.
No, I actually don't even work with Robo 3D anymore. I stopped working with them.
But that's the thing, right? You buy a printer, you think you get the right one, and then you just are having other problems with it. And you might be out a couple $1,000s. That filament's not cheap, right? You try and do something like that Terminator skull that you made, and it's you might mess up a print and lose what, $30-$40 in one try.
You can absolutely. And like the Stormtrooper suit, where each piece that I was printing was over half a roll of filament, and the filament I was using was $60 a roll. I mean, luckily I only had, I think, 3 or 4 failed prints on the whole suit. So one thing I like about the Ultimakers, a lot of people say the Ultimakers are really expensive, but the reason why they ask that money and they get that money is the printer is very, very repeatable. One thing you'll find with 3D printers is some of them are not repeatable. The Robo 3D wasn't one of those. I could print something flawlessly on the Robo. I'd print another thing, it wouldn't come out right. I'd print another thing, it'd work okay. It'd be something different every time. The Ultimaker is very, very consistent. Once you get it dialed in and once you get it going, it keeps producing the same result over and over and over again. And that's one of the reasons why I really like Ultimaker and I stick with them. But if you don't have a lot of money, though, I'm not saying that the Robo 3D is a bad printer for the money, because I think it only costs like $700 or $800, and it's got a large build volume for that price. It's just kind of a slow printer, and there are problems with it. You do have to manually tinker with things. You do have to print some upgrades to the printer that should honestly come with it. And you guys can go see my old video I did on the Robo. A lot of the stuff that I did on the original Robo still applies to the Robo R1 Plus, the new one that just came out. But it's not a big deal if you have the time to mess with that. But if you're somebody like Jay or something like that, just you expect it to just come out of the box and work, you'll be disappointed with 8 out of 10 3D printers. But there are a couple of gems in there that just, if you get through the calibration correctly, they just keep on working.
See, it's kind of like a boat. You don't want a boat. You want a friend with a boat.
Exactly.
So you want a friend with a 3D printer.
You do. No, that's the best analogy you could have ever made there, because nobody wants a boat because you got to store it, you got to drain the block in the wintertime, you got to clean the hull on the thing or it rots. I mean, they're a nightmare, right? They always say boats are money pits, and I hold true to that, because every person I've ever known that's owned a boat has had it for like maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they always sell it and the reason is it's too much work for the amount of time we use it.
Yeah.
And I would say that 3D printers actually, that's a pretty good analogy for it. So, but if you don't have a friend with a 3D printer, obviously somebody needs to be that friend with the 3D printer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be that friend. Thank you, Aaron Marcus. He also asked a question. Jay, I've flushed my new Alpha Cool Rad 7 times. Still getting the same amount of flakes. I'm filling it halfway and shaking then emptying. Is there a better way?
No.
So when he says flush, does it mean he's like putting alcohol in there or
water? Do me a favor real quick. Mod me in chat.
Mod you in chat? All right.
Yeah.
I'm on.
You gotta understand, the manufacturing process of these is so those flakes that you're probably seeing are probably small bits of solder flux. Alpha Cool Rads are notoriously like the dirtiest rads you could possibly get on the market.
Your mod.
Mayhem says their Blitz Pro cleaning kit is supposed to help with that, but I don't know how much that's true, because I've seen a lot of people also say they've used those cleaning kits and still have problems afterwards. I really don't know. It's just a part of Alpha Cool's radiators being the way that they are. That's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped using them for the longest time, was because they were just so damn dirty. Now they claim they've refined the process with their manufacturer to make them cleaner, and those ones are supposed to be easily identifiable by not having that copper Alpha Cool sticker on the side of the rad anymore. It's the blue logo on the side. That's supposed to be their newer ones. But at the very same token, the 240 rad I used in my test loop that I did for the Coolant video, it's the milk was turning green. So it still had flux in there. And that was just after, it already had the Gatorade running through there and took some of it out with it, and then the milk was turning green after only a couple of minutes. So I would use hot water as best you can, but of course you can't really keep the water hot very well as it's running through a radiator if you're going to use hot water in a loop. So I don't have a suggestion for you. I really don't. Maybe install an inline filter so you don't get any of that shit in your blog.
It almost seems like somebody should create some kind of a product that would coat the inside of those radiators with something that's not a massive thermal barrier, but something that would keep everything from touching.
I don't know how that would be done though when they're sealed.
Yeah,
because anything that would coat could also come off.
That's true, and it could potentially cause other issues and clog stuff up if it's solidified and broke away. Yeah, no, I guess it just creates more problems than it would solve. That's weird though that he would flush it and flakes would still be coming out after like 7. What is he flushing with, like alcohol or just water?
I don't know. He didn't say.
What would you use though if you're flushing a radiator?
I've done a lot of flushing with vinegar, distilled water. Okay. I've never used any of like the Blitz Pro stuff. I've never needed to before. But the reason why I keep mentioning Blitz Pro is because it's like the only real cleaning kit on the market you can get for radiators. It's something Mayhem came out with. Primocho had their System Prep, which is just it's an additive you put to distilled water and let it run, and then it's supposed to help clean. But remember what I told you before the stream started, where there's variants in the manufacturing materials used in all these radiators, where you can buy 2 identical radiators from the same manufacturer, from the same company, same radiator. It's the same SKU number, and you could do a chemical test on both of them, or a materials test, and find 2 different types of copper used depending on where they were made and when they were made, and whoever the source of the copper was when they made it. So that's part of the problem too. So it could just be other contaminants in there. There's just so many variables to it, and that's why a lot of people use inline filters. If you watch the video I did where I cleaned out Coconut Monkey's rig when we did the hard line, you can see that there's still stuff in there too. So it's just part of water.
Aaron Marcus, you just said 9 parts hot water and 1 part vinegar. So there's another person that used vinegar before.
You can try more vinegar, and you would probably have to clean each loop, each part one at a time. When I clean my parts, I don't clean it as a loop. I clean them each part individually. So I'll take this radiator, clean this radiator, then move on to the next part. I don't assemble it as a loop and try and clean it that way.
It almost seems to me like the radiator manufacturers should start doing their own like in-house cleaning and testing and flushing, and then like certifying the radiator when they ship it out. It's like, you buy this radiator, we're 100% sure you're not going to have any problems.
No,
it almost seems to me like people would pay a premium for that.
Definitely not the way it works.
Really?
Yeah, no. I mean, you can look down inside the radiator, like you can look in the opening.
Yep.
I can't show you right now because there's no way for me to show in there with the camera. But you can open it and you can see a lot of different colors in there with the copper. You can see green, you can see blue, you can see black. It's just the manufacturing process. Remember, it's got to get super hot, then they have to melt solder and flux in there to get all. Oh
no, I totally get that, but I'm talking more along the lines of like how Intel grades and certifies its processors, right? I mean, they run it. If it doesn't meet the exacting standards, it goes back into the pile or it gets lower ranked and tested again. If it doesn't meet the lowest rank, then it just gets thrown in the garbage. So it's like you pay a premium for the radiator that flushed and had no contaminants in it after going through a flushing.
But that's the thing. They don't test these radiators like that. They probably
I'm saying they should. But
that would mean that they need to test every single one, and no manufacturer is going to do that. I mean,
what's the price point of a good radiator? Like, what does a good radiator run you right now for like what would be considered high quality?
$120 for like a triple red.
And something that has a fairly high copper content, so it's probably pretty expensive to manufacture.
See, the thing is, people will go buy like an XSPC radiator or like a Phobia radiator, which is also alpha cool, and they'll buy one that's like $60, and then they'll complain that it's dirty. You know, the higher end brands like EK and Hardware Labs, or what's considered arguably one of the cleanest radiators on the market you could possibly get, being a dark side radiator, they're significantly more, up to $200 for a radiator.
Oh, geez. So it looks like you just don't know what you're going to get. It's almost like when you're overclocking, right? You might get a processor that's awesome, that just works great. You might get a radiator just a piece of shit that's just shooting out all kinds of crap for its entire life. I would be
using dark side radiators right now if they made a 560 rad. But 560 is one of those weird sizes where the only case it really fits in is the Case Labs case. So there's not many manufacturers of that size radiator.
I do love Case Labs stuff, though. They do make really, really good stuff.
Right. But the other thing, too, is a lot of times what breaks up a lot of this gunk and junk that comes out of these radiators is the heat. The heat is a factor, which is why the GPU loop, for me, was changing color faster than the CPU loop, although both were. The GPU was happening at a much accelerated rate. Mayhems did confirm with me that the heat is a factor. Now they said I asked them what temperatures they've tested these the Mayhem's Pastel up to, and I believe he said they tested it up to something like 55C coolant temperature. Now I want to explain something real quick. People will go 55C. Oh my God, your loop is way hotter than 55C because they think their graphics card being 50C means their loop is 50C. That's not the way it works. The temperature of the coolant itself would have only been warm to the touch. A lot of like the D5 pump is only rated up to 60C on fluid temperature. But the heat that it's picking up when it's crossing over these different metals that are heating up can accelerate the process of some of the the salt that builds up. A lot of people say it was zinc, it was oxidation. Yeah. That all is affected by heat. Now, most people aren't running around with triple Titans. I see a lot of people with 4-way SLI cards, but they're not seeing these color changes because they're not necessarily running them with Pastel.
And if it was all one loop, you wouldn't really notice anyways, unless it significantly changed. But if it's two loops side by side, obviously you're going to be able to see the shades change a lot more aggressively.
Right. Okay. No, and when this fiasco was going down a couple weeks ago, a lot of people were sending me pictures of their loops saying, look at how much it changed, where they will send me it's one loop, right? They'll send me a picture of when they first did it versus now. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's, very significant. So that's the only variable we could come up with between the GPU loop and the CPU loop, considering they're the exact same metals in both loops. A lot of people were saying it's your soft tubing, but no, even Mayhem said no, it's not the soft tubing. The heat is the only other factor that we could think of. But some people have also sent me pictures of their clear coolants also going darker. Now I'm keeping an eye on this loop as best I can to see if if it's going to go darker on me as well. But of course, time is going to tell. And since the orange is so dark as it is, it's really difficult to tell if it's turning dark on me. But I also haven't even gotten a chance to do any real gaming on this. So this right now, my graphics cards are sitting at like 28C, so it's not like temperature's an issue.
Well, I am officially lazy and do air cooling now. Air cooling is my master.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Ben Lilligard, thank you. He said, hey guys, got a question for Jay. Of course, everybody's got a question for Jay. I emailed Performance PCs a couple times through their website over the last couple months for some information. I haven't gotten a response at all. Any suggestions on how to get into contact with them?
Maybe their social media.
I'd try social media. That's where I always seem to be able to get attention from companies.
They're really busy. With Frozen CPU being in business or not being in business or not taking internet orders or only taking phone call orders. If you go shopping on a website and it's like, sorry, our online ordering service is down, but you can call us your order. Do you call Jerry or do you go find someplace else?
Depends. But I'd probably find someone else if I could.
It even says on there like, have all the SKU numbers you want ready when you call. Like they're not even going to look up the stuff. You have to have like your cart already put together, which you can't even do on Frozen CPU because the cart isn't there anymore. So what's happening is a lot of people are just going to the alternative, which is performance PCs, and so I could see them not getting back to the emails very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But their social media, I would try that maybe. I don't know.
Plus, Christmas time is just a pain in the ass to get a hold of anybody, really.
And you're not going to get a hold of many people right now there probably because I know for a fact that their management team is in CES right now.
7.62 Worldwide Production said, my $40 360 rad from China has had no problems besides barbs. No flux, no color change, no flakes. Well, it sounds to me like you were just one of the lucky ones. Just happened to get the one that wasn't made out of like the rusty copper.
In all of the years that I've been doing water cooling now, since 2003 was like my first water cooled rig. The pastel is the only time I've ever had anything change color on me. So I'd say I have a pretty good I have a pretty good track record of things not changing color. So that's why I look at this and I go, there's something going on here, and the only thing I could think of is that if it does have to do with the quality of the copper, my GPU loop has a lot of copper in that loop. The 560 rad and the 280 rad, that's a lot of copper.
Yeah.
So I could see that as being, just the pure amount of the metal is affecting it as well.
Ooh, Bennett Sampson asked a good question. He said, what do you think the best programming language is for the future? I don't really have a good question for what the best programming language is. Yeah, Skynet. No, what I've been recommending to a lot of people, because this is a really common question I get, especially after doing the Codegasm series, is, why C# or why C++ or why C? The truth is, if you're programming applications and games, that's a pretty high-level thing. You don't have to go down to a low-level language, meaning that you can accomplish a lot more with way less code if you go with a managed language like Java or C#. There's all kinds of them out there. I mean, you can even use VB.NET if you want. But basically those higher level languages give you layers of abstraction to do a lot of work in a minimal amount of code. Now, if you're writing stuff like drivers or performance-centric code where performance is above all the most important thing in what you're trying to accomplish, then it makes more sense to learn a lower level language where you have more control over everything that's going on, like C or C++, depending on whether you want to do object-oriented or procedural type programming. But honestly, what I recommend to anybody who's just getting into programming now, don't go try to learn massive low-level language. Start off and learn something like a managed language like Java or C# and then work your way from there. But just make sure if you learn a programming language that you pick a syntax that you're going to stick with. And I personally would recommend a C-style syntax. That's C, C++, C#, Java. And basically the way that the language is structured will be the same across the lower level languages and the higher level languages, so it doesn't present a big learning curve. If you learn things like, say, Python's kind of a good example, Visual Basic is a great example. If you learn languages like that, they're structured in a way that's very, very unique to themselves. And if you go to learn another language, it makes it just a lot more difficult to make that transition. So most of the languages I program are all C-style syntax just because it makes it a lot easier.
What I love is the amount of people in chat saying, I've got a Chinese rad and it's fine. I've got pretty much all these companies, their rads are made in China, guys. So
pretty much everything in your
almost
house
everybody has
a
Chinese rad.
all the sheetrock in your house and the wood in your walls. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's that bad. But
sheetrock.
But no, just about everything I pick up in this room is made in China. If China cuts us off, we're screwed. We're going back to the Stone Age.
My house is built with genuine Chinese wood, which is why my GPU shelf. Let me find this here so I can actually see what my camera sees. Which is why my GPU shelf is starting to sag in such a method that I'm also using my Chinese monitor there to hold it up.
Nice.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Is
the monitor literally bracing that shelf?
The monitor's bracing that shelf because it's leaning down like 4 degrees.
That's hilarious.
I've got to get some support going.
China's high quality stuff right there.
I almost feel like all the earthquakes we've been having in this area is like fate going, oh, how long are these things going to stay standing?
I see a lot of people in the chat asking about the whole gaming thing, like what people are talking about. It's if you go to gaming.youtube.com instead of www.youtube.com, you get like a completely different interface. I don't think YouTube didn't do a very good job of like separating the two out and like making it clear what their intent was, but it's basically a whole different UI for YouTube.
Just replace the www with gaming.
Yep. In your URL,
and then you're there.
And you're there. That's it. You leave everything else the same. The /watch, whatever, that all stays exactly the same. And Anthony just says, I love AdBlock, but he donated $1, so he can use AdBlock.
$1 makes up for like a year's worth of views.
It does. That's like a year's worth of one person's viewership. Sim Racing Jordan said, hi guys, I have a sim racing question for Jerry. Yes, another one for me. After you installed your hydraulic pedal set, was the brake pedal mega stiff? I just got the HPP simulation pedal set, and the brake seems almost impossible to press in. No, actually, my hydraulic brake on my sim pedal set is very much like a real car.
Was there any sort of like retainer screw on there?
Yeah, I would check and see if there's a retainer screw or if there's something attached to the master cylinder that's not allowing it to give. Because the only time that I've ever had a stiff brake pedal is like in a rally car where they'll disconnect the brake booster, like on purpose to give the pedal more control. But it shouldn't be rock hard. If it's rock hard, that almost sounds like the pedal's connected directly to a load cell, and that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's kind of like a lot of monitors with adjustable bases on them have a screw that keeps the monitor from, when you take it out of the box, just kind of like popping up to its highest setting. You might want to check and see if your pedal has some sort of a screw in there to keep it from moving, shipping, or something.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem right to me. I'm not familiar with the HPP simulation pedal set, but no, the brake pedal should not be rock freaking hard. It should have a fair amount of give to it. Now, towards the bottom, you should be able to just stand. If it's a load cell based brake, which I'm assuming it is, you should be able to just stand on the thing as hard as you freaking can at the bottom of it, and it's going to feel like it's not giving that much, but it'll still register more brake in the game. Because that's what's really cool about load cells, is that you can really, really wrench on them, whereas like a linear pedal, you just, once it bottoms out, that's all you have. I love that the load cell brake, you can literally calibrate it. Like mine on the sim pedal set, I think you can calibrate up to 100 foot-pound of force, so I can put 100 foot-pound force on the thing to get 100% braking if I want. I mean, that's not really ideal unless you're driving a Model T around Lime Rock, but but it's nice to have. Let's see. Eon said $20 for you, Jerry, because Jay's a dickhole. I love that, and he said, just kidding, I'll get Jay back next week. So Jay, don't ban him. I know I made you moderator, but just leave him alone.
What they say?
He's with me. He said he gave me $20 because you're a dickhole.
Oh, that's fine.
But he said he'd give you $20 next week, and he was just joking. But I just want to make sure that you don't ban him because he's my buddy. We got another pound. No plans to stop my ad block here in 2016. How's the snowboarding going? Oh, that's a good one. I can still move. I am beyond thrilled at how well snowboarding went. I still got to edit the video for you guys. But there were some fun things that happened. One, I got really, really cocky, and I did a speed run down the hill, and I ate shit going about 35, 40 miles an hour. And that hurt really, really bad. But I was able to get up and stretch it off and keep going. And I woke up this morning, and I'm not going to lie, I'm sore. All my joints, my knees, my elbows, even my fingers hurt. But normally, when I used to go snowboarding like 60 pounds ago, I would be like bedridden after a good night of snowboarding. So I think going to the gym has actually helped a lot with my flexibility and bouncing back. So I'm excited. Nicholas Steele.
You said bouncing back. I imagine every time you fell, you bounced.
I did bounce. I did. Here's my 1 year viewership.
Did you fall on your face at all, or just your butt?
No, I cracked my face really hard on one of them, and I got video of it too. The GoPro on my head going like smacking into the snow. No, I was trying to hold my phone. I was doing a Periscope, and I was recording on the GoPro at the same time. If you guys are watching the Periscope stream last night, you probably watched it happen. But yeah, I was going down the hill, and it's like I ate it, and then I flipped sideways, and the board and me flipped around 2 or 3 times before I finally came to stop face down the hill, chest into the snow. It was like and when I landed, the phone was completely like just covered in snow in my hand. Like,
don't lie, you weren't even ski or snowboarding right there. You were just trying to stand and get your periscope started.
Probably, I was just trying to sit up, and it all went horribly wrong. And then the other funny thing that happened was I lost my GoPro. I started bombing down this hill, and I hit a little bump, and the GoPro mount popped off the front of my snowboard. I actually had it on the front of the snowboard, and so I had to spend like 20 minutes digging around in the snow with my cell phone flashlight to find my GoPro that flew off, because it was all powdery, and the GoPro sunk in a little bit, so we couldn't see it. So we had to walk in this deep-ass snow. That was more tiring than the whole night of snowboarding, was just trying to recover my GoPro. But I did recover it, so you guys are going to get to see the footage.
The reality here is you were on the bunny slope, or the junior slopes the whole time.
I was on the junior slopes. Actually, the first thing we hit was a black diamond, and it was completely by accident, so I had to plow the whole thing to the bottom. Couldn't even straighten the board out. It was so it was just a giant mogul field down a cliff, and I was like, how the hell did we do this? But it was night, and we couldn't see it because it was foggy. Kiki said, how's the Bitcoin mining going? Actually, I still need to fire up my shed now that it's cooled off and it's wintertime. I did have it going for a little while, but then I had a networking problem I got to solve out. But I need to get those Bitcoin miners going right now, because have you seen Bitcoin? It's like, last I checked, it was like $430 right now.
I don't look at Bitcoin.
Like, Bitcoin just took
like
off.
Right
I felt
now,
bad because I sold it all at like 360, thinking, oh man, I'm selling high, and it went up like another $100.
Like right now, I'm just sitting here looking at pictures of 370Zs. I'm not even listening to you.
You have a 370Z. Why are you looking at pictures of them?
Because
your pictures?
No. No.
Oh,
I'm researching.
Nicholas Seal said, don't pronounce the E. It's just Nicholas Seal. See, that was awesome. I mispronounced the name, and they donated another $1 to correct me. You guys need to stop rewarding my mistakes. It's like my Diablo video where I said Diablo through the whole thing, and it went viral and got like 900,000 views. Not because it was a cool Diablo video, but just because I said Diablo through the whole thing, people couldn't stand it.
Diablo.
Dude, it killed him. Like, every third comment on that video, and there's got to be 10,000 comments on that video. Every single one is, it's not pronounced Diablo, it's Diablo. It's like, oh,
I really want an Alcantara steering wheel like yours.
They're nice. I absolutely love them. The only thing I don't like about them is if they get a little damp when it's humid outside, which you'd never have to deal with in California. I don't know. They have
except right now.
Well, now you do, but it does have a little bit of a weird feel to them when they get damp. I don't like them when they're damp.
The El Niños come full force.
Boss and Nub said apparently my $10 donation didn't show up. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm working on getting my own PC modding company. Any ideas what I can do to grow the company? I do water cooling, vinyl wraps, and what else can I do to grow it?
Look, I want to say to him the same thing I say to people in emails when they send me something saying, I'm going to do a business. Do you have any suggestions on how I can do my business? And it's like, if you have to ask me that, you're not ready to go into business. You're really not.
That's
because
true.
business owners know their business they want to do. They know their plan, and they know how they're going to make it work. They don't necessarily ask for other people on how to do their business.
No.
You know, it's self-research is fine, and going to places to kind of get ideas of how to run your business is fine. But I think when someone says, do you have any ideas how I can get started with my business? I don't think that's the best way to start your business, honestly. I feel like you might want to get a plan together, and asking other people how to do it is not a plan.
I do get a lot of people that send, like, the most common question I probably get in emails, I want to start a YouTube channel, what kind of videos do you think I should make? And I'm just like, if the goal for starting a YouTube channel is to just make videos or make money, and it's not about the content, it's not about the creativity, it's not about being unique, it's not about sharing something that you already have in your head, chances are it's going to be a horrendous failure.
Yeah,
it is. You have to. The same thing applies with a business. It's like going into a business. You have to provide a service that's unique. You have to provide it at a price that's competitive. And if you can't do those things, then you just won't be successful.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean I know on the flip side, people can say, well, that's not true. You can make a business asking people their advice, but that's not my personal opinion. My personal opinion is people who are ready to be entrepreneurs. Have the mindset of what they need to do to know that they're ready to go into business. I think deciding I want to go into business, but then making that decision to go into business and then having to probe others for how to do that business is not the right plan.
No,
I'm not saying my plan is the only plan either. So don't hear me wrong either.
No, and being an entrepreneur is like hard as hell. Like right now, I would even say that I struggle a lot
Some jester in chat says, I want to start a meth lab. What do you suggest with my past experience? Well, Mayhem sells this Blitz Pro kit.
I would start with that. It comes with the piping and the chemicals and everything for your first batch.
It comes with the piping, the chemicals, the eye protection, the skin protection, and even a tester. That's the best way to start your meth kit.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't want to be the destroyer of dreams on the whole creating a business, creating a YouTube channel, and everything like that. But it's true. You really, really need to figure out what you want to do and what service. You have to be on. The other thing that's really hard in this business, especially like in YouTube, is you have to be honest with yourself, and that's a really hard thing to do.
And you got to be honest with everyone else.
Yeah.
Obviously. What was the?
But you can't be honest with everybody else unless you're honest with yourself first, and that's the hardest thing. You have to I look at myself objectively every day and be like, Jerry, you're failing. You're failing, dude. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. I don't try to just sit around and be like, oh, hey, I made it another month. Woo! You can't do that. You have to actually sit down and be somewhat hard on yourself. And that's something that I'm learning that I hope that I'm a lot better at in 2016, is basically being able to look at myself objectively and say, you know what? Be my own boss and do what a boss does. And that's when you're doing a shitty job, kick your employee's ass. And I am my employee, and the same thing applies to the business and stuff like that.
You need to fire 2015, Jerry.
I do. I'm gonna fire 2015.
Richard Hendra says, I like Jay. He's harsh but truthful. I'm not trying to be harsh. Look, the worst thing you can do is give anyone false hope or false, any sort of false direction. It's probably a flaw as much as it is a good character trait. Is I've always been very, very direct, and direct comes off as rude many times. People are too used to political correctness and being like, well, Jay, you didn't tell me that to me in a nice way, therefore you're an asshole. But unfortunately, it's the way I've always been. And it's the same thing when people say to me, hey, Jay, I've got a YouTube channel that's got, 150 subs, and I want to get into product reviews. How do I get companies to send me stuff? And the answer is get a bigger audience. No one's going to send you anything. Remember, guys, I'm repeating something someone told me. A company told me this. A company I actually work with now very closely, but a company once told me this, where why would we send product to somebody to do a review on their YouTube channel when I can yell out the window and reach more people? That's the reality of it. And if you think a company is going to send you something to do a video on your 150 subs or your 2,000 subs or even your 10,000 subs, chances are you're in for a world of disappointment, because you have to be valuable to the company, and your value to that company is your thoroughness or your ability to do a review that has any sort of weight to it, and two, having people to reach, because they are literally sending you that $500 graphics card or that $2,000 laptop or that $1,000 monitor.
It's always an investment,
because they're banking on your honest review of for your audience that values your opinion, and that audience of size that hopefully enough people will turn around and buy it to not only make up for the money they lost sending you the product, but hopefully that your review will lead to sales. They look at you almost as as an advertising. A review is an advertisement, quite honestly. That's why there's value to it. The obvious answer of how to get product is have an audience already. Well, how do you get the audience if you can't get the product? You think Jerry and I started with the big audience? No, we bought everything we did reviews on.
I went back and did the math. I spent almost $75,000 in my first 4 years. Now, granted, the purpose of buying everything wasn't for the YouTube channel, because the YouTube channel was a hobby back then. But the draw to the channel, nonetheless, came from the fact that I had a lot of things that the average people didn't have. Same thing with 3D printing. I bought a $3,000 3D printer because nobody else had 3D printers, because they were freaking $3,000. And I bought one of them, and my channel just took off.
The reality here was you were doing videos on things you were already doing.
Right.
You weren't buying things to do a review or a video on. Correct. So you went, oh, I bought this printer. This is kind of cool. I bet other people would be interested in this. And then you did a video of it because you were already doing it.
Right.
The people who want to start a channel to start doing it are doing it the wrong way. They're doing it in the wrong order. If you are not already getting this stuff into your home because you're building a computer, or you're into automotive upgrades or RC hobbies, if you're looking at starting a YouTube channel so you can do that, no one's going to send you anything, because you don't have any value to those companies. That's the harsh, straightforward reality. you are not valuable to them.
Now, hold on. There is one exception though that I want to throw out there, just so that we don't crush everybody's rule and say basically you have to be. I know. Just so you guys know, if you have an amazing personality, an amazing camera presence, and you can hold people's attention, then even if you're a small guy, there will be some small companies out there that will help you out because they will look at you and they will see you as an investment. They're going to be like, we think that this guy's going to be big in the future because of this, this, and this.
And that's what Cooler Master was for me. But granted, I had 30,000 subscribers before I could get anybody to start responding to my emails.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything with like 10 or 100 or even 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, on the small side though, don't just like go trying to contact like Sony and trying to reach out to these huge Fortune 500 companies and be like, here, can you send me your CNC LaserJet water cutter that's $90,000? You're going to get a whole bunch of no's. But the thing is if you
no, you're not even going to get no. You're not even going to get no. You're not going to get any response.
Yeah, you won't even get a response. But if a company, think of your YouTube channel. This is actually a really good segment. Think of your YouTube channel like a living resume. That's what it is.
That's
and
true.
You're sending this living resume to companies. Whenever I contact a company that I want to work with, and a lot of companies contact me too. It's a two-way street. It's not like every single company just contacts me and says, or I have to reach out and contact every company. Some companies come to me and they say, we watched your channel. We really, really like how you handle 3D printing. Would you be interested in reviewing this? And then I can be like, yes or no, or I can talk to them further and figure out if it's a good fit for me and the channel. But what they're going to ultimately do before they contact me, or the reason they're contacting me, is because what they saw in my living resume or my YouTube channel, and it's usually personality. Almost all the times when they come at me, it's not. Now it's kind of stats. Once you get to a big size, they look at you and they're like, oh, you have 620,000 subscribers. Here, we want you to review this.
Just about any email I get from any vendor wanting me to work with them that tells me my own numbers in the email, I don't work with them.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
Because then it becomes super obvious. They don't care about me. They don't care about the way I do things. They don't care about my passion. They care about my numbers. And equally, as much as they care about the number, when you're small and you're trying to grow and you're like, hey, I got 50,000 subs, and you start to get some response, when they're like, we see that you have almost 500,000 subs. Would you be interested? Nope. Delete. Because then I know there's only one thing they're interested in, and that's not a business relationship in any way.
Yeah, and I look for collaborations with companies that fit well with what I'm already doing. Like, for instance, I turn a lot of companies down. I have companies that contact me, and they're like, oh, hey, we make this product or whatever, this wideband radio that works out in the woods that you can, like, plug into your laptop and stuff like that. I'm like, I never use that. Like, I'm not going to review a product that I would never use. I only want to review stuff that I'm actually going to use.
You know what those emails mean to me? And
Cha-ching, cash money, Jay. Cash money.
No, I'm interested to see if you agree with me or if you look at this as a different perspective. I look at those companies looking at us as being their marketing department that they can't afford to have.
Oh, no, they absolutely do. And they'll even state that to some degree in the mails. That, like, for instance, one of my favorite companies to work with, and I don't work with them nearly enough. I wish that I did more, and it's my fault, not theirs. They're contacting me constantly. Is Linda.
Yeah.
I love Linda because almost everything I've learned in programming throughout the years and everything has always been from library books, online courses, and having... And Linda is a service I legitimately use. I have a Linda account. I log into my Linda account a couple times a week and take courses on whatever I'm working on, and I absolutely love the content of that. So it's a fantastic fit because they see that passion. They know that what I'm doing is directly aligned with what their business does, and it's mutually beneficial. With
the exception of the Harry's Movember campaign, which I told them I would only do in November because of their involvement with Movember. Linda is the only other ad I've ever run that wasn't directly PC related, because you can make it PC related if you want to go and go that route, like you said. But I use Linda a lot for the photography stuff. Anything I've learned with photography, and I'm not a great photographer, but I think I'm better than average when it comes to shot composure and stuff. I've learned a lot of that through self-learning and when not just like my other peers who started doing Linda, I eventually saw the ads running on Linus's, and I saw it on yours, and I've seen it on Tech Syndicate, and I finally was like, what the hell is this Linda thing? So I went and looked into it, and it was actually pretty interesting. The only downside with a lot of these free trials is you have to put in a credit card to open that up. Just make sure you cancel it. But yeah, you're going to see more Linda ads, especially next week, actually, because I'm all about self-learning, and that's the cool thing about Linda is all they're giving you is access to a library. Which is awesome.
And they have an awesome public reputation, which is another thing that I like too. I get worried when a company approaches me and like the first thing that I search for is people just hating on them for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that everybody has a perfect track record. Everybody's going to be mad to some degree or another, but if a company approaches me, and this is the funny thing too, is some of these companies will come at you with outlandish. This is the biggest red flag in the world. If somebody messages and says, "Hey, we want to pay you $10,000 to review something," I guarantee you're going to go search for that thing, and it's going to be like the most hated thing on the entire internet, or not aligned with you in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I'm saying it actually happens more often than not, because these marketing companies, they're trying to get exposure for a product that isn't doing well, or a product they perceive will not do well.
Right.
So that's why I the majority of the stuff that I do is reaching out. Like I don't take a lot of stuff that comes at me. I do on occasion if it's something that I'm very, very interested in. But I usually reach out to the companies because they have something that I'm interested in, and then I express in that email why I'm interested in. I express my YouTube channel, the videos that they might want to watch to get a feel for how I may review it. You know, and things like that. And that's kind of the way the relationship goes. Like, for instance, Rad Power Bikes. I'm going to be reviewing one of their bikes this month or early next month. And the whole reason being is I started going to the gym. I started working out. I want to get out and ride. And I told you, Jay, that the main reason why I can't ride my regular bike is because I'm on super hilly terrain.
Yeah, dude, I'm 100% with you on that. Especially that last trip when I started paying attention to what's around you. You'd be screwed because the only way to go from your house is downhill.
It's downhill. So everywhere I ride, coming back is going to be impossible. I'm going to have to literally walk the bike.
Not to mention that what's the name of that hill? Something hill where that stoplight is. Where you go up that hill after you go across the bridge and we go back up.
Oh yeah. Don't want to say the name because of the live stream, but
but the point is when it has hill in the street name, and there's like all these flashing lights. It's like watch speed.
Yeah, there's at least 3 streets just within a couple miles of my house that have hill in the name of the street. So I
imagine that particular hill, even for a seasoned hill climber, that what quarter mile that it is would be completely grueling.
It stresses cars. Like cars downshift to like second gear to get up that thing.
Right.
But the cool thing is this company, I contacted them and I was like, well, you have a power bike. I was like, do you think it would work with somebody at my weight? And they're like, we talked back and forth and we worked it all out. And it made sense. This bike would enable me to actually be able to ride through this hilly terrain and give me enough assistance that it should be comparable to me pedaling more on a flat surface. You know? So I'm really excited about that because that's going to get me back on the bike.
Does it have a mode where, so when you're going uphill, you have to pedal still? It's just an assist, or is it a full powered bike at that point?
It can be either. You can actually, there's an onboard computer. You can say, give me 80% assistance, 60% assistance. You can also do a mode where when you pedal, it just amplifies your pedaling. So the harder you pedal, the more amps it puts into the motor.
Right.
Kind of thing. So it's got all kinds of like different modes that it does. But depending on how you use those modes is how long your battery is going to last. But the battery on it is like really, really good. I mean, this thing can go on flat land. It can go 25 plus miles on a charge without you ever touching the pedals.
Well, if it's got some sort of a system where your pedaling can also keep it charged, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's got I don't think it's regenerative, but as you pedal, the motor obviously doesn't have to work as hard, which is going to extend your range.
Right.
So if you're pedaling a little bit, you could probably do like 60 miles. You know,
I actually spent like $250 today just in some cold weather gear that I haven't been able to ride because it's been unseasonably cold. For Southern
weird weather down there, man.
For Southern California, like today, the max it got I think was 46 Fahrenheit, which I think is like 10. I want to say it's like 10 or 15 Celsius. It doesn't sound like, or maybe it's less than that, but it doesn't sound like a lot to people who live in cold climates. But when you live here in the land of sunshine, and there's wind at 46 degrees, and then you're riding your bike, let's say 25 miles per hour, that's really cold.
Yeah.
To be wearing, just thin cycling gear. So I had to order like proper fleece-lined, waterproof, windproof stuff. That way I could actually go riding because I'm itching to get my ass back on that bike, but it's just too damn cold. I'm not worried about the wet. I've gone riding in the rain before. Remember when that big rig almost took me out? That was in the rain. But yeah, that I just am going. It's things I never thought I'd have to buy. This cold weather water gear. you know?
I think Moo Man wants to see Bat Knife. Can you guys handle it? Yeah.
Can you make a car with a 3D printer? Hasn't someone done that already?
Yeah, actually, there's a company called what is it? Elo Motors or something? No, it's not Elo. Oh, I can't remember their name. They were at World Maker Faire. I saw them both years that I was there. But yeah, they 3D printed an entire car. The only thing on it that isn't 3D printed is the mechanical linkage connecting the tires to it. So basically, like the axles and stuff like that in the motor. And it's like the whole unibody chassis of the thing's 3D printed. It's awesome.
AV Interfectorum. He asked me what biocide I recommend. I don't know if I'm probably destroyed his name. For distilled water and nickel plate. So I use PT Nuke when I use just distilled water, but only do like 2 or 3 drops at the most. If you put too much in, then you'll turn everything green in your loop because biocide's kind of a greenish like teal color.
I just saw a random comment fly by that said Jay Leno just did the review of the 3D printed car. So after this, guys, go watch Jay Leno's Garage on YouTube. I love that channel.
Yeah, I watch him probably more than anybody.
He's awesome.
Which is why when I do my 370Z video, it's going to be very Jay Leno Garage style. There's two guys I like to watch when it comes to car reviews. Jay Leno's Garage because he gets access to like the coolest stuff. And I like that dude in blue because it's literally just him driving with a GoPro set up in the car and him talking about what it's like. And I like that more candid. I'm just going to talk to you, not worry about the best of B-roll footage and stuff. I like that dude in blue. He's a cool guy.
I like. Have you ever seen Doug DeMuro? DeMuro?
Doesn't ring a bell.
I think it's Demuro or DeMuro. I've never pronounced his name right, but he's the guy that has the 360 Medina Ferrari, and he drives around. He daily drives it, and he talks about all the bullshit wrong with owning a Ferrari, like how hard it is, like start the maintenance on it. I love that.
He was
guy.
Like, he's got that video. He's like, why 10 reasons why you would never want to daily drive a Ferrari.
Exactly, that's the one. I love that guy.
I think reason number 2 was like, or maybe it was reason number 1 was all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's like, this thing gets absolutely attention everywhere, and you don't always want attention where you're
in that
going.
video, he's in his Ferrari, and he hit like this massive pothole.
Yep.
And you just hear the whole car sound like it was going to fall apart.
Yeah, and it almost like put him through the roof of the thing, and then he lets anybody drive it. Like, he does all these videos where he just lets like his friends and stuff just drive the car.
Crazy.
And they're all like worried when they're driving it because they're like, oh man, this is an expensive car. But no,
I would never let anyone like get in my Modena or whatever and drive.
Yeah, he just got an Aston Martin, like a 9-year-old one that he.
I believe it's Austin Martin.
Austin Martin.
He just got that there Aston Martin.
It's the Aston. It's an Aston of Martin.
That Vanquish.
Yeah, if you live in Alaska, you probably hunt an Aston of Martin. I think that's what it is.
That's a terrible joke.
I know, that's horrible.
That is such a reach.
That was a big reach. But no, he bought it and he got he did a video on it the other day I was watching where he's like, I got an unlimited bumper-to-bumper warranty for $4,000 on this hand-built 9-year-old car. And he's like, I'm going to drive this thing every day in the rain and the snow, through the mud, everything. And then it's like, right after he gets it away from the dealership, it's like it's already leaking water out of the roof. It's leaking water out of the air conditioner condenser and soaking the passenger side floor. And he's like, I don't care because bumper to bumper warranty.
I don't care.
I was like, he's awesome. If you haven't seen him and you like cars, he actually has a really, really cool channel. Or I can't remember the name of the other guy that's got the Lamborghini. It's like some kid. He's only like 20, 22. He's got a Lamborghini, and he like lives in tents and stuff, but he like doesn't care because he has his Lamborghini.
No, that guy kind of annoys me. I've watched him his videos, but it's always like his videos are always titled like "How I Afford My Lambo." You know what I mean? It's like I don't care about
the Strad man. That's the guy.
Yeah,
the Strad man. No, I can see why you think that, but I still find the videos kind of entertaining because. He basically buys. He has a day job too, but I mean he's not like the super rich guy or whatever. But I mean he'll do anything to save money. Like he has one video where he's literally camped out in the Walmart parking lot while he's on a business trip so that he can save the money that he would normally use for the hotel room. He's got like his Lamborghini parked in the Walmart parking lot, and he's got a freaking tent set up next to it, and he's actually like camping out. And I was just like. That's hilarious. I'm sorry, but that is just cool. Because normally somebody that would own that car would be some super rich dude. And this guy's like, nope, I just spend every last cent that I have owning this car. Let's see, Jack
my dad
W.
worked with someone like that once when he was he worked at he was a corporate level for a software developer. He said he knew a guy that got his Ferrari and then like had to make a choice between his Ferrari or his house. And let's just say he lived out of his Ferrari for a while.
No, we had a guy like that. I can't remember his name at Microsoft. He was gone probably 5 years after I was working there. But I remember he used to his wallpaper on his computer was 355, a Ferrari F355, and it was parked on a lawn in front of a single wide trailer. And I was like, "Is that your car?" And he's like, "Yep." He's like, I live in the single wide trailer because the payment on the car or whatever is $1,200 a month. And he's like, I only pay $300 a month for the trailer. So it works out because he was just a contractor. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, I guess if you like cars that much, you can just spend your house payment on a car, get something super exotic, and then just like live in a trailer.
Eric Hobbs, the gentleman we sat next to at PDX.
I remember Eric.
He says, if you like that dude in blue, you should watch Matt Farah's one takes on the smoking tire. I forgot to mention, I do watch the smoking tire and drive. I kind of like that Dude in Blue's personality better than Matt Farah's, though. Matt's a bit more like me.
I can say that. Matt actually is a lot like you.
He's a lot like me, where he's like, I know my shit. How dare you challenge me? You know? But that Dude in Blue is just happy. He's just so happy and smiley, and he rates things in like smiles per mile, you know, and stuff like that. That Dude in Blue makes me happy at the end of the video. Sometimes Matt leaves me going like, that dude's a dick. Which I know people say about me. So it's kind of funny. I don't like watching Matt as much because he reminds me too much of me.
So at least you know, funny though.
But at least you know I'm honest with myself to be able to say that.
You have to be. That's what we talked about earlier. You have to be honest with yourself. Even when the news isn't good. Let's see here. ASG IOV. I don't know. I'm not even trying to pronounce that. 2015, Jerry was bad. Didn't release enough content, which I love. Please release more content in 2016. Love you, Jerry. I am going to try to release more content. And guys, honestly, it's 100% fail boat on my part. To shoot content, I have to be in a certain mood to do it. And I haven't been able to achieve that certain mood. But the thing that I need to learn in 2016 is I don't have the luxury of being in that mood anymore. I don't. Back when this was a hobby, like if I didn't feel like making a video for 3 months, I could just do it. I can't afford to do that now because I got to take care of my family and all that. So I need to just get the sand out of my mangina, purge all that sand right up out of that mangina, and just turn the damn camera on.
I knew that doing the RC video, which wasn't my first one, by the way, but I knew that doing the RC video was going to have much less views and much less likes and much higher dislikes than my normal content. But that's a thing of mine that I like, and so I did it anyway. Same thing with, I'm going to be putting up a video from GoPro helmet perspectives of Coconut Monkey and I over at K1 Racing, and people are going to be like, what the hell is this shit? I
actually do want to see that video. I loved seeing all the pictures that you guys posted from that.
So we went to K1, and then we wanted to go again with a friend. So we went again a few days later, and we were like, things escalated because we bought our own helmets. But I actually needed a helmet, though, for the Z because I plan on taking it back to the track. So I bought a helmet anyway. But then I whooped Coconut Monkey, no problem. Average time, best time, everything. Every race, every stat.
And on those carts, weight actually does matter significantly.
Which is why I was about to step into the next part of this story, where when we took my friend who weighs 130 pounds, and he's an equal driver like me, where his best time was always besting me by a few hundredths of a second, or a few tenths of a second. Yeah. Like I would put like a 29.6 lap. He'd do like a 29.4. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he beat me on best time on the time trial every single race, but my average time was like 3.5 seconds faster per lap every time. But the problem is the way K1 is it's not a race, it is a time trial.
Yeah.
So it puts him higher on the leaderboard. So of course he's like, yeah, Jay, I beat you. It's like, dude, let's add up our laps. And let's see how long it took us to complete the 14 laps. And I beat him every single race. But the difference was when it came to corner exiting, his weight just pulled me out of every turn. And so he was getting better speed and better exit speed on every turn. But on the straights, I was actually pulling him in terms of the cart. My cart was actually faster than his. But it was fun. We've got GoPro perspectives from all three of us. And I'll probably put together a little video of like, hey, this is different. And we're gonna go drive some go-karts.
Next time I come down there and we're just hanging out, we got to go to the racetrack because. Yeah. Or actually, you know what? Next time you come up here, I'll take you to Pacific Raceways. They're outdoor carts that can do like 45 mile an hour, and it's actually a proper racetrack with like bank turns and stuff and chicanes and all that stuff. It's really cool.
That'd be cool.
But the thing that sucks about it is they have two leagues. They have the open league, which is just everybody get on a cart and go. And everybody just goes flying by me because on the straightaways, I can't get the speed with my weight. But then they have another class where they weight the carts to 200 pounds. So they basically weigh the driver and then they add lead to the cart so that everybody's 200 pounds. So at least I have a fighting chance then because I'm only like 80 pounds heavier than everybody instead of like 180 pounds. You know.
Well, that was what surprised me though, was the fact that my friend was literally like just over half my weight. But the fact that I was putting faster averages than him every single race by seconds, not tenths, but seconds, shows that if we were doing an actual race and not a time trial, it'd be very, very interesting race.
Yeah, you're officially fat when you can hold the accelerator pinned to the floor on the indoor track and never squeak a tire going around the entire track. No, our little Champs indoor karting or whatever we have over here, I literally just pin the gas pedal down and just steer my way around the whole track and never even squawk a tire because I can never get the cart to go fast enough to do it.
Oh yeah, you can't do that at K1 here. Even as a big guy, you can't do that here. Turns are too tight and they're flat, non-banked.
Well, I'm gonna come down there. We're gonna do that. Damn it! Was that?
It'll be a tight fit, dude. I barely fit in them.
No, it's the same thing when I go to when we go to the PGP track. Everybody gets all cold because it's winter outside, and everybody's got like all their coats on and stuff, sitting down the chair. And I'm over there in just a t-shirt, and I take my belt off because when I sit back in the chair, I literally like form fit like a Jello mold into it. Like if I flipped the cart, I wouldn't come out of it. Like I would be the roll bar for the cart. No, it does. Like when I lift out the chair, it's like you can audibly hear it. It's crazy. So wow, I didn't realize it's already 6:30. Here, let's take some Ask Tech Talk questions. And spend some time. Ask Ton of Martin. I hope somebody laughed when I said that. That was pretty funny. Dome Shiny said, Jerry, have you received your new HTPC yet? No, I have not. It should be in the mail, though. They just sent me a cool picture of it.
Those liars!
With the LED lightings and everything in it. Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, though, the laptop I'm absolutely loving. I can't wait to do the laptop review, because that thing is a beast. And it's got that screen beam thing in it, so I can basically plug a little dongle into any TV and just beam everything on the screen to it. Oh, dude, it's awesome. I love it. Let's see. Ask Tech Talk. We have. Let me refresh it so that I'm getting the whole feed here. Wait, come on, refresh.
The thing I hate about K1, and next time I go, I want to get enough friends together so that we can do a private group. Is you get stuck with these randoms that it's like there are some races, and you can see it on the GoPro footage where I have a lap like the same chick like 4 times in 14 laps, and it's like, what the hell are you? You're happy with only getting 9 of your 14 laps, and you're just driving around like you're going to the store? I mean,
and then the car doesn't have enough torque to like. I know what you're talking about. Like in some of the corners, they'll take the inside line, and then you go to take the outside line, but then they cut across the whole track because they're not paying attention to where you are at all, and you basically have to get stuck behind them. Oh god, that sucks.
You can tell because I have because I have my GoPro on my helmet. My head's on a swivel because I'm constantly looking because I don't want to be that dick that's like. I didn't pay attention to the part on the inside and just, get jammed into the wall.
Oh my God. Here we go. Jaden H. Ask Tech Talk. What's the best monitor for gaming for under $250 or so?
I think the VG248QE is still one of the best 144 hertz 1080p monitors you can get.
Can you get that for under $250?
Yeah, now you can. Yeah, you can get it for about $250.
Who makes it? What's the brand on that?
That's Asus.
That's an Asus monitor? Wow. For under $250, 144
I'm going to check right now, but I'm pretty sure with how much things have moved along and even how much the Swift has come down in price that the VG248QE is still... It's
mind-blowing how cheap display technology has gotten, though, because I'm sitting... These 50-inch 4K panels they have are $700.
$249 at Fry's.
$249? Wow, you were within $1. You're the man.
Jeez. Not even 99, 249.00.
Ashay 2035 Ask Tech Talk, can we bring back the 2,000 likes for a truffle shuffle, please? How many likes do we have right now?
Like 300.
We only have 439 likes. If you guys somehow manage to get that to 2,000 before we end the stream, I will indeed do a truffle shuffle.
That means you guys are going to have to all use your alternative accounts too,
Yep, you're all going to have to use your alt accounts and everything. But if I refresh this before the show ends and it's at 2,000 likes, I will do a truffle shuffle. Let's see. Michael Nolan says, Ask Tech Talk, what do you guys think of triple ultra-wide monitor setup? I can already tell you what Jay's going to say. Multi-monitors for poor people. Because he doesn't do it anymore.
The aspect ratio alone causes havoc in some games. I couldn't imagine 3 of them. Linus did a video about it where it was... where he said it was just not really worth all that setup.
I wouldn't like it personally. And the only reason why is I would feel like it was like looking out of a visor of a helmet. Now, keep in mind, I'm used to gigantic screens, so I'm hugely biased on this. But the ultra-wide screen, my biggest complaint is because it's so wide, it just, your brain's tricked into thinking it's a little bit shorter. And I think having 3 of those spread out across your entire desk, it would feel like you were literally looking through, like, the opening on an Abrams tank from back, I don't think that'd be cool, honestly. Unless it was, like, if you were doing like a racing simulator or something where the screens were really close to you and you had one ultra wide like right in front of your steering wheel and then 2 going straight back so you could look out the sides of the car, I think that would probably be cool. But for average gaming and stuff like that, no, I wouldn't do it. And plus, Jay actually makes the best point here is that the multi-mon gaming is always a pain in the ass. It always is.
But doing it with a less conventional aspect ratio too, like 21:9.
Yeah, exactly. It already is with 9:16, a pain in the ass to get surround working flawlessly and everything. You always have to mess with some setting, tinker with something to get it to work right. It's like rare to have a surround setup where it works flawlessly. Not to mention the amount of GPU horsepower you would need to power that many pixels is insane. Well, yeah, I'm already running into that problem with this. Like, the only thing that I can run, even with 2 980 Ti's, the only thing that I can run smooth with surround with these 350-inch screens is like iRacing with the graphics quality turned down.
Yeah.
I can actually run that at over 60 frames per second at 4K, but everything else, like Battlefront and stuff like that, one 4K screen can barely do over 60.
Don't you have like over 1 billion pixels?
Yeah, it's I think it's close. Here, let's see. I'm curious. Let's do the math.
How many pixels does Jerry have?
Let's
measure how small his
pick
dick
is. I have
is.
here? Yep. 40, let's see, 2160 times 3. I have 24,883,200 pixels.
Okay,
just
well, I was
from those
way off from 1 billion, but still.
Yeah, way off from 1 billion, but still, that's a lot of pixels. To think that every single frame that's refreshed in the game has to be 24,883,200 pixels. That is nuts. That's nuts.
Well, I have like a bajillion pixels.
Well, the way I like to put it is, having a 4K screen is like having 4 1080p monitors in surround.
That's exactly how it is.
It is. So if you have 3, that's like having 12 1080p monitors. Imagine having a 12 monitor surround setup.
You has like NASA control.
Just NASA control. You can do the whole space launches and everything.
I think it would be neat though if you could honestly. I think it would be neat if you could turn it into 4 individual panels inside that one bezel. That would be kind of neat, right?
That would actually be pretty cool. I wish I could debezel these giant things, and I probably could, but I'm scared to death to try because I don't want to buy new ones. IRTS10 said, "Oh, you missed my other donation, but hashtag Fat Lives Matter." Damn straight, hashtag Fat Lives Matter. I say that all over the place in the snowboarding video that's coming out. Let's see. Instead of videos of hoverboards on fire, we will see a video of the bike on fire. Do it. I don't think Rad Power Bikes would appreciate me doing a video of their bike like flaming as I was driving down the street.
With you on it, it'll be flaming. Don't worry.
Don't worry. It'll be making its fair share of noises, and I anticipate a little bit of smoke.
Joke. That's not a fat joke. That's a rider flamboyance joke.
It'll be flaming. I'm fabulous.
You have to wear an ascot when you ride that bike.
Ooh. I could totally pull that off. Let's see here. Jack just said because Jerry is a nice guy. I don't know what he was referring to, but I try to be a nice guy.
You should see Jerry behind closed doors. He ain't that nice.
No. This is a character. Barnacules is just a character. In real life, I'm just abusive as hell. Actually, Jay will be the first to tell you that I'm just a big wuss. I am. Mm-hmm. I am, Jay. It's okay. You can tell everybody. You're a big
scaredy cat.
I'm just a big scaredy cat and a big wuss, and all I do is just whine and cry to you. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Emmett Turner asks, what headphones are you guys have on?
That question comes up every week.
No, this is a good one, though, because we're both wearing different headphones than we normally do. So
I'm actually using these Statist closed back monitors. They're the SMCB1. They actually sent me the closed back and the open back ones. What's funny about this is they sent this without asking me if they could send it. Actually, I think they did ask me if I could send it, but I didn't see the email until after they had already arrived because I worked with this company in the past. I told them I'm not doing audio reviews anymore because I'm tired of trying to keep the audiophile community I'm tired of trying to keep them even neutrally appeased, which is impossible. So I told them I'm not doing audio reviews anymore. So they were like, "Oh, just go ahead and keep them then and tell us what you think privately." So I'm using the closed back ones right now. I prefer open back when I'm just in here doing things. That way people can't sneak up behind me and they don't get as hot or as much ear fatigue or sweat. The closed back ones are leather because you get a good seal. The open back ones are kind of that cloth material. I don't remember what kind of material it is. But I'm not using the open back ones right now because otherwise you'd probably hear Jerry in my microphone.
The feedback on the mic. And these right here, the Phoenix, I think they're Aria? Yeah, the Phoenix Aria. Come on, focus. Well, you can't see it because of overexposure, but that's the box it came in. Oh, and I have to say, I am amazed. I wasn't even gonna review these headphones. Like Phoenix just sent them over because they wanted my opinion on it, just personally. And they sent the headphones over, and I was actually pretty shocked. I put them on, and I was like, why do these sound so good? Like, even on the iPhone, they have tremendous bass. Like, you usually
Why do these sound so good?
Yeah,
this is unacceptable.
It's unacceptable because low power, the low power handling headphones generally don't have very good bass response. These had wonderful bass response, and they had great treble. I would say that they're on par with some of my headphones that I have that are like $400 or $500 pairs of cans. And I was like, why do these sound so good? So I contacted them back, and they said that they're actually rebranded. I have to go look up the model number, but they sent me the kit. They're actually created by a different company, and they just brand them Phoenix. But the other company sells their headphones for like $450, and I think these are $250. So they rebrand them and sell them a lot cheaper. But I could tell when I took it out of the box, I mean, the cable on this thing is this giant, super thick, shielded, braided cable. I mean, this is like 4 times the thickness of like a regular headphone cable. And they're both detachable right here. It comes with adapters, came with 2 cables. It's a fantastic pair of headphones. I mean, honestly, I would recommend these to absolutely anybody. And for a closed back, they have really, really good sound stage too.
Some folks were asking me what it was that I was having a hard time with the audio files, and the thing I had a hard time with was I would tell people what I was hearing, and they would tell me I was wrong. And what's funny is I went to a going away party earlier this week for a friend who just joined the military. Prototype, you guys have seen him in some of my videos. He just went to the Air Force. And at his going away party, his uncle is like a huge audiophile. I mean, he's the guy that would have like, you know, those $10,000 headphones from Sennheiser type of thing, right? With the $20,000 amp. He apparently has done some work with Sennheiser too on some audiophile stuff. And Prototype says, you know, Jay's did some stuff with Sennheiser. I said, yeah, but I'm not, like I told you, I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. And his uncle was like, oh yeah, why not? I said, because just like I told you, I said, because audiophiles have been the most difficult group of people that there's ever been for me to work with to try and even please on a slightest level of pleasure. And he looks at me and he points at his ear and he goes, there's a lot of variables in here. Which at that point I was like, you're actually agreeing with me that people can hear different things? He's like, yeah, it's just anatomy. I'm like, thank God somebody just revived some of my faith in someone who identifies as an audiophile. Because I've always said that what a person hears does not necessarily mean it's the same thing the other person hears. And yeah, there's science when it comes to the measurement of the sound that comes out of the cans, right? You can hook them up to a meter and it will measure the waves. But that doesn't mean your ear can pick up those waves. It doesn't mean you may have flattened out some of your inner ear wall or hair like I did with all the bass competition systems I used to build. So I hear bass differently than I used to.
Yeah,
but I got tired.
Like mildly deaf.
I got people tired of telling me that what I'm hearing is like, no, that's not what you hear. It's like, really?
No, I agree with you on the hardcore audiophile guys. I mean, I even had a guy argue with me for an hour, a good friend of mine actually, that there's something called digital jitter, which can affect sound quality of a digital signal traveling over optical cable, and why optical cable clarity is so important.
And then they argue your source too.
Yeah. But then I look at him and I'm like, you forget you're talking to somebody who's a software developer, and the second that you said digital, it doesn't matter if the signal is going over rusty cardboard, as long as it's error corrected and arrives at the source in the same way it left, it's going to be the same exact thing. Right. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, digital jitter can happen with the light and stuff, and it changes how the decoder works. And I'm just like, oh, God. Quiet. So he had like $1,000 pair of optical cables, 2 6-foot-long cables that look like garden hose.
What bugged me is I would do a review about something advertised as being a mobile set of headphones, and then I was getting shit for listening to them on my iPhone.
Well, here's the best example.
Let's see. These headphones were designed to listen to on the go and plug into your smartphone. So I plug them into my smartphone, and they tell me I'm doing it wrong. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Dome Shining just said, buying likes for $1. How many did that get me? Here, let me refresh and see how many likes we're at here. I'm curious.
I think it's barely 1,000.
We're at 960 likes. You guys got a ways to go.
It's not going to happen because they're already over.
It's not going to happen. You guys are going to get your truffle shuffle. It's got to get to 2,000.
And we started on time, so we don't owe you guys any extra minutes.
No. But no, these headphones, honestly, I'd say the most important spec on these is I gave them to my wife to put on, and she actually said, man, these sound really good. To give you some context, every other pair of headphones I've ever given her, including the Sennheiser 800s, which are HD 800s, which are like $1,300, $1,500 headphones, she always says they don't sound as good as my Beats by Dre. I'm not even kidding, and a little part of me dies inside every time I hear her say that. But Beats by Dre have ridiculous amounts of bass. She loves bass, right? Yeah. So they have... Beats by Dre is just a bass machine. There's no other redeeming quality to those headphones, honestly, in my opinion. But because she loves bass so much, and that's 90% of her decision, any other headphones, if they don't have a level of bass that's comparable, they're just garbage.
You know, it sounds a lot like what happens with my wife and I, because, okay, I'm not an audiophile, but I'm definitely a snob when it comes to HD. So when I got the LG curved in there that I've got, the E6300.
I
believe that was an model number. Anyway, wait till you see it in person.
No, I did. I finally went to video only when they had the curved one. I was like, oh my God.
So it's kind of like when I'm sitting there telling the wife, like, can you see that? Can you see the clarity? Can you see this? And she's like, yeah, kind of. It's like, okay, I'll put it on standard def and be like, can you tell now? And she's like, a little bit.
Wives.
Like, oh my god.
Wives. We need to start a hashtag for that. It's like hashtag wives don't see. No, we'll probably get flamed by the feminist community for that.
We'll be at Best Buy or something, and she'll be looking at movies, and she'll grab a DVD, and I'm like, what are you doing? Grabbing a DVD? I'm like, get a Blu-ray. Why? Get a Blu-ray. Because it looks different. She's like, I can't tell.
Jay, it killed me inside. It absolutely killed me inside when I went from a Optoma. It was an Optoma projector that was 480p. It wasn't even 720. This is a long time ago. It was my first projector. I paint the wall in the bedroom, and it's the 4x3, so it's the bigger screen. And I finally get up the nerve to buy a proper projector. So I go buy the LG, I think it was the 1820 projector, which is 2,500 lumens versus 750. And I hook the thing up, and it's 1080p, and I'm just like, I'm about ready to cry. It's so beautiful. I think I even have a video of me setting up for the first time. I'm just like, shit, my pants, so beautiful. Put up a $3,000 screen that's like, and I'm like, this is blowing my mind. I'm like, I love this projector. I bring her in, and she's like, I liked it better when it was square. Like, because the TV shows she watched were in 4x3, and now they had the borders on the side when she was watching, and I was just like, but doesn't the picture look sharper? Doesn't it look clearer? Doesn't it look brighter? And she's like, I don't know. I just kind of liked, when it looked square. Like, I liked it better when the TV didn't have the borders on the side. And I'm just like,
I will admit that 4x3 on a projector would probably be a lot better than a widescreen, because at least it's not projecting anything on the side of it.
No, it's true, and plus with
I'm going to side with your wife on this one.
With the way my wall was set up, if they made an HD projector that could utilize the full 4x3, I would tend to agree with you. But I just thought it was funny that it's like, just like with headphones, to her it was more important that the picture fit the screen over brightness, resolution, and she still couldn't tell the difference. Like, she still doesn't really.
The joke's on your wife, because it wasn't even square. It was 4x3. It was
4x3. She didn't even know, but it was pretty funny to see that it's like, yeah, but you're. I look at it and I'm like,
your wife is such a visual noob.
Yeah. And she has fine eyesight. I mean, I wish I could just blame her eyesight and she had like pop bottle thing. I wish she had like bubble glasses from for bubbles on Trailer Park Boys. But no, she doesn't. She has good eyesight. It's just she doesn't look at it that way. She's just like, I'm more watching it for the show. I'm sitting there watching the show, and it's like I care less about what's on. When I first got it, I was like, I would have watched anything. I would have watched Teletubbies in 1080p just to see 1080p.
There is a downside to having such high quality when it comes to HD, especially with UHD.
Yeah.
So one of the things I got for Christmas was the Blu-ray remastered Star Wars collection.
Yeah.
And I watched. I'm not done yet, but I've watched through almost all of them. And once I got to the original 3, right, episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
You're looking at it going, oh wow, these sets suck. You know what I mean? You can see every like stroke of paint on the wall. You can see like all of the bad stitching in some of the costumes. You can. It's just so much movie magic is not masked by the low quality grain. You know what I mean?
No, I remember
how much of the movies, even today, how much of the movies and green screens are covered up by digital graininess that's added on purpose.
Yeah, you start watching Star Wars and you actually see the strings, you see the fishing line like holding the TIE fighter up, and you're just like, yeah, there's something to be said. Low resolution is a lot easier to fool with practical effects, right? Obviously. Yeah. And the other one is, everybody always makes the joke in the porn industry. It's like, if the resolution gets any better, all you're going to see is like veins and track marks and wrinkles. And
she's got varicose veins on her butt.
Yeah, and it's like in 240p, anybody could have been on camera and you would have been just like fine with it. But nope. Welcome to the future.
Yeah. It's kind of like removing beer goggles.
It is. It is.
Like, oh,
260p is beer goggles. That's what it is, beer goggle resolution. See, we're at 1,056 likes. We're only 1,000 away. If you guys can get 1,000 likes in the next 5 minutes, you will get your truffle shuffle.
This stream has been almost 2 hours. This is ridiculous.
I know. It's crazy. Let's see. What are we at here? 249. Wow. Yeah. So you guys.
I'll agree with you though. I don't want to be able to see the whiteheads in the adult content.
No. I think
especially the ones in the butt crack.
Yes, please. This is an appeal to all of the pornographers out there. Please put your 4K cameras away and don't even think about buying 8K cameras. Please,
even 1080p
just for the love
is
of all.
Even 1080p is pushed. I think they should stick with like the old school high 8. You know what I mean?
If it's not on film with the dirty lens, just don't do it.
If you don't have to crank the camera, it's too high quality. Leave something to my imagination.
That is funny. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good point. Yes. Oh, somebody just posted the picture. Hashtag meth talk. I'm saving this picture. Hold on, I'm retweeting a picture right now, Jay.
Okay.
It's meth talk, and it's got me and you as Walter White and Jesse Pinkman, but with the faces replaced. That's good. I'm actually saving that one to my collection of funny pictures people make. If you guys make a funny picture with my face on it or something like that, I usually save it off in a little archive, and then I randomly will bring it up in a video somewhere. Let's see here. Emmett Turner again asked Jerry, would your headphones be considered fun cans or work cans? I'm looking for something to be the polar to my ATH M50s. These are absolutely not what you want if you want a studio monitor. If you're looking for something that's completely sound accurate, I wouldn't say these are what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that is a good music listening experience and a good gaming headphone, yeah, absolutely, but not a studio monitor.
Porn is bigger than tech? Yes, until tech meets porn, and then it's borderline.
Porn is like bigger than anything. Let's see here. Isaiah's reviews.
I'm just talking about I don't want that high tech in porn necessarily to meet.
No, absolutely not. The whole porn is just people sitting around on the couch with their iPads.
I like to watch my porn on the old beta machine.
I likes my porns with a story. Let's see here. Isaiah's reviews says, ask TechTalk, what is your favorite thing from CES thus far? Well, since I'm not actually at CES, I have to go from the things that people have been mailing me, and there was two things that I thought were pretty cool. One was a screen that could actually roll up like a newspaper. That was pretty cool. So flexible screens. And the other one was...
And if it's Samsung, they debuted that in 2013.
I think it was Samsung debuting it again this year, but it's better.
See, they're just throwing up the same shit they've been throwing up every year.
Yeah, it's like the Microsoft Surface. Not the tablet, but the original Microsoft Surface. Like 10 years of playing Pong on a kitchen table that costs like $10,000. Yeah. So, no, I'd say probably my favorite thing as far as, like, concept was they had a drone there that's actually two people can get inside of, and all it has is an iPad, and you basically touch the locations you want to go to, and this thing flies you and a passenger somewhere. You don't have to be a pilot or anything. You just push the button, and it's just like a real drone. It takes off and lands there. But
could you imagine the horror if that thing lost GPU lock or GPS lock?
Dude. If that thing's if that thing's 10,000 times more reliable than a DJI Phantom, I still would not get into it.
Says the guy who let the car drive him around.
That was a scary video. The pucker factor was very high in that video.
But being airborne while it's happening.
The only redeeming fact, but it was still cool.
I got news for you. Anytime you've flown, the computer's taking you where you're going, sir.
No, that's true. That's true. I actually talked to
the pilots are there
once.
Just in case shit goes wrong.
Yeah, no, I talked to a pilot, and he said, yeah, we only land the plane about once out of every 10 times just to keep our certification up. The rest of the time, they're just sitting there babysitting the instruments.
Yeah, usually they'll turn off autopilot when they're at 500 foot on their approach, and then they just kind of like let it touch down and activate the reverse thrust and flaps, and then
Mouse has demanded the no bat knife, so I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to be like, no bat knife, bat knife! It's not even sharp enough to go through me. The thing is so dull. Oh my god. But yeah, I thought that drone was pretty cool because it wasn't just a proof of concept. They actually had a video of it flying unmanned. I don't think it had a person in it, but they actually did get it to fly, so you could technically put people in there and fly somewhere in a drone, in a quadcopter.
So I've been asked a bajillion times about how I feel about Pascal debuting in cars. Because everyone was like, Pascal games, yay, Pascal! And then NVIDIA at CES. One, I don't know why anybody on their right mind thought NVIDIA was going to launch or even mention anything about GPUs for PC desktop. At CES, they've never done that. They've always done either their own press release separately, never inside CES, and they always wait for GPU conference. That's the way NVIDIA hosts GPU conference, so they wouldn't upstage their own convention. But with that said, I will say this. With the power of Pascal, at least that they're toting, being debuted in smart car technology, you're right. You better be damn, expecting that I want the fastest GPU processor possibly handling that data calculations, especially a series of them, which is what they've been showing.
Yeah, the Tesla itself does like an ungodly amount of it takes a massive amount of computer power.
But do you know what this means? But do you know what this means to me? It means to me that NVIDIA might be a CPU player in the near future.
I don't see why they wouldn't be. It seems like if they're already that good at making GPUs that can do, that are astronomically faster than CPUs today. Now, granted, I know the two technologies are very, very different, your desktop processor versus your GPU, but I don't see why they couldn't be a contender in that space.
Yeah.
It would force Intel to wake up and start moving a lot faster because
And it would make AMD even more scared than they already are.
Well, AMD, I mean, they're pretty much already gone, right?
Everyone keeps asking me
I don't think we bashed AMD at this stream, Jay.
No, but I'm going to go ahead and put out the obligatory stop asking me what I feel about Zen. I don't comment on rumor until Zen is out. I can't tell you what I feel about Zen. I just hope. I mean, all I know is that the design team that they had was the original design team that put them above Intel back in the early 2000s. Let's just hope they do it again. That'd be great for everybody. But I don't know. I don't know. Did AMD give them the budget they need?
I would love it. I would absolutely love it if tomorrow AMD came out with something that was just a complete and total shock to everybody, and everybody had to have it. That would be great.
My only fear with this is AMD is now notoriously known for hyping and then disappointing. And they've done this multiple times where they build up and build up and build up because they put all their money in marketing and it's not backed by the performance that they're hyping.
You mean all $35?
34.27, I think, was the
so they're being
slight. But anyway,
they're being conservative. Okay.
But no, I mean, case in point, they promised at E3 that before the end of 2015, the Dual Fury, the Dual Fury card would be out. Yeah. You know, the 295 X2 predecessor, the Dual Fury, and it's not, and it's postponed again, and so it's like, okay, great, you know. So I feel like Zen isn't even going to have a chance because I kind of feel like even if it does launch, and let's say it is matching performance of a 6700K, can they produce it fast enough? Can they actually mass produce it and get it launched quick enough to their hype that people are going to buy it? I don't know.
They can find a manufacturer that does it for $35. Yeah, totally.
Because it better be good. Because if it's going to be requiring DDR4 and with the price of DDR4 still, you're asking a lot of people to put faith in it that it's going to stay relevant and have an upgrade path in front of it.
Hey, I'm really liking this Ertis 10 guy. He said AMD sucks, Intel forever, and F you Microsoft, love you Jay and Jerry. There's a lot of truth spoken in that one comment.
That doesn't say F you, it says foo. It says foo.
Well, Jay, I think you wanted to dodge this, but we can't now because somebody officially asked it with Ask Tech Talk, so we have to talk about it now.
Oh, great.
What do you think about Microsoft? Yeah, you already saw it coming, saying Windows 10 is safer to use than Windows 7.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually sent you that link.
You did send me that link, but I'd already seen it previously.
I know you had, but like you said, I love the actual verbiage in there. If you don't upgrade to Windows 10, you do so at your own peril. It's like,
so hold on, let me give you guys a little background here. And I know a lot of you guys think I'm just a Microsoft hater because they laid me off after 15 years and and ruined my entire life and made me gain 60 pounds. But I'm not bitter at all. No, but honestly, this is what pisses me off about what Microsoft's doing right now, and I wish Microsoft would just stop doing this shit because it's actually
I wish they would just die.
It just stop. It's just ruining my legacy. That's like 15 years I spent there building a legacy, and they're just throwing it all out. Everybody's gonna be like, in 20 years, like, you worked for Microsoft? That company is fucking horrible.
They're gonna be like, micro who?
And by 20 years, I mean like 20 months. No, but here's what's going on. Windows 7. So let me paint the whole landscape here. Microsoft wanted you to run. Yeah, gonna show you a little bush up here in the corner. No, but here Microsoft has been very, very aggressive, and I mean unusually aggressive to get people onto Windows 10. Like if you have Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 7, you're getting constant pop-ups that were delivered to your machine. God damn it, Jay, stop that.
It makes a pop sound when it
I can hear it. It's annoying me, and it's ruining my train of thought. Jay, I'm just trying to tell people a story.
I can hear it, too. That's why this is fun. This is the first time I've ever been able to hear myself, because I was like, what happens if I plug my headset into the mic spot on my amp? I can hear my microphone.
All right, hold on. Let me get my train of thought back here.
Man, you're easy to derail, you know that?
Yeah, dude, it's squirrel chasing.
You're like a high-speed bullet train made in the U.S.
It's amazing that I can actually even make a living doing anything, to be honest with you. So here's the story. Microsoft, you probably have noticed down in the corner of your screen, every time you log in, whether you're Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, I'm surprised it doesn't even pop up on Windows 10 as aggressive as they're being. But you get this little pop-up in the corner of your screen. It's like, you should update to Windows 10. And then after a couple weeks, it was like, you should allow us to upgrade your computer to Windows 10 while you sleep. And then it was like, we're not even going to give you a cancel button. If you click on this dialog, your options are install it now or install it later. And they got really, really aggressive with this. And then they started putting like little...
But don't miss that piece that if you say install later, it still downloads it. It starts the download.
Yes, it starts
you have to click. You have to click the X in the corner of that window to not download it.
Yep, and there was even a bug that Microsoft admitted to that force upgraded a bunch of boxes with nobody's permission at all. And they said they identified the problem. But that's not a bug. You guys put that in there and you just got called on it. So the biggest problem I had with this is the update that actually installed this on your box said nowhere in it that it was going to harass you to install Windows 10. The update said something to the fact that it's like preparing your computer for a Windows 10 upgrade or something like that. You install it and it basically just installed the neg program that negs you not just once. You can't dismiss it and say never ask me again, nothing. It's every time you log into your box. This thing pops up and harasses you. And people called Microsoft on it. It was this huge spiel. Everybody hated it.
You said you can delete an update that will get rid of that, right?
Here's what's bullshit. You delete that update and you can block it. You can say never install this update again. What did Microsoft do? They bundled it in a second update. If that doesn't say that Microsoft isn't intentionally trying to be a nefarious asshole, I don't know what does, because you explicitly said you didn't want the update on your box that installed the nagware. So what do they do? Release another update with a different KB number that gets around it. And so this pissed me off beyond reason. So you guys, I want you to understand I'm pissed off at Microsoft, not because they laid me off, but because they are being shitheads right now. Legitimately being shitheads. And then their latest antics that just fucking blow my mind here is they're now releasing a statement. Microsoft themselves...
Hey, Jerry.
Oh, go ahead.
Coconut Monkey says that he can hear Steam Messenger going crazy. Is your Messenger going nuts?
Yeah, I accepted all the Steam invites, so everybody's probably trying to talk to me while I'm on here. Let me close
you should probably close Steam while you're streaming.
I'm sorry if everybody's checking their Steam nonstop. I accepted all my Steam invites the other day, and so everybody messages me like 10 times a minute. And I actually respond to a lot of them, too. It's fun. So here's what they're doing now. So now they release a statement. Microsoft says, Windows 7 is actually a piece of shit. And it's got all kinds of problems with it. And I'm paraphrasing
and
here,
it was
but
their
honestly,
most popular and well-received OS since XP.
Microsoft raved about it. Even when Windows 8 launched, they even made it clear that through I think it's 2021 or 2020, they will be supporting Windows 7 fully. So now they come out with a statement because not a lot of people are upgrading to Windows 10 because of all the bad press. People just don't like the censorship, the spying, all that shit. They don't want it. So now they're releasing a statement that's like, if you are on Windows 7, and this comes from Microsoft, if you are on Windows 7, you do so at your own peril because it is a flawed operating system. And you're not going to have the hardware and the software support that you need. And
they're trying to liken it to the old Vista days where, like, we'd hate for you to buy a printer and it doesn't work.
Exactly.
But do you think Microsoft has the technology to force things not to work?
Yep. Microsoft, they do. But here's the funny thing. Microsoft already said Windows 7 is guaranteed supported through at least 2020. I think it's like 2021. So it's already supported. So if they're saying that Windows 7 is a piece of shit and has problems, why aren't they fixing them? It is still in spec. That operating system is still supported. And if
that's because their automated test team has already moved on.
Exactly. But they're making it sound like if you're running Windows 7, you're actually putting yourself in a really bad situation because shit might not work, games might not run, live streaming might stop working, all this stuff. You really should just upgrade to Windows 10. And I'm like, wow. So they are actually defaming the best product that they ever made. And I mean, internally to the company, they boasted for years, even after Windows 8 and everything, that Windows 7 was equivalent to Windows XP.
Because they're also calling it antiquated because it's turning 10, and it's insane to me. It's insane to me how they can force these downloads though on people. I mean, I was a victim of it.
Yep.
Where it downloaded and I didn't realize it, and I actually did a system restore from pre-download.
And what do they tell you? When you download Windows 10, you have the option to download Windows 10, but once you install Windows 10, you no longer have the option over your Windows Update. Windows automatically deploys updates to your box. That's one of the new features of Windows 10 is that it's always up to date. But we've already seen that they've recalled more updates than they haven't. I mean, because of problems, and some of them were bricking boxes and completely taking users out because of lack of testing.
We know why they don't want to support Windows 7 anymore is because obviously they fired the entire test team.
And because Windows 7 doesn't have the same telemetry capabilities as Windows 10 does, and they want your data. Windows 10 is free for a reason, guys. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's wrong how Microsoft is bottling it and selling it. Microsoft's like, oh, get it now? Well, it's free because it's going to cost money later on. You better hurry up. Oh, shit, Windows 7's malware.
They're going to... It was what, July? Isn't it July?
Yeah.
When it's no longer free? They're going to extend that.
They won't. They're never going to charge for it. That'd be like Google's charging to use their search engine, because that's exactly what Windows 10 is. When you use Cortana, you are feeding your search results to Windows. When you open up a photo in the browser, you are feeding telemetry to Windows that says, oh, Jerry opened another picture. For all I know, they're sending the name of the frickin' file that you're opening. I don't know this for sure, but Microsoft specifically was approached by the person who wrote the article on this and said, how are you guys gaining your telemetry and what data are you gathering? And Microsoft's statement was that they basically couldn't comment on it. So they were unwilling to say exactly what they were collecting.
Knowing what you know,
yes.
Can you write a net in some way to filter that data and actually see what they're capturing? Or do you think that's all going to be encrypted in such a manner that you won't be able to decode it?
Here's the only thing is, if it was encrypted, it would cost them, because you got to think billions of computers are communicating data. So encryption would be incredibly expensive for their enterprise if they encrypted all that data. So I'd be willing to bet that more than likely it's plain text. But yeah, you could use any packet sniffer that you want to capture these packets. You could basically say, just capture all the traffic. We already know what the telemetry servers are. Somebody already created a list of all the telemetry servers. So yeah, you could.
You say you need to be in a certain mood to make a video. It sounds to me like you're in a mood and you have the ability.
Actually, I am.
You're in a mood and you have the skills to do a video and do your own, sake of science video on Barnacules Nerdgasm.
That's a good idea.
Write something, sniff it, and show everyone what it's capturing.
That's a good idea. Would you guys like to see that? Would you like to see a video?
I want to see that. Fuck what the audience says. I want to see it.
I'm gonna do that. That video will be a tremendous amount of work, but you know what? Everything is there.
Your public awareness of all of this is why I've never even entertained the idea of installing 10.
Oh, dude, that's actually a really good idea, because I've already seen telemetry going back just with Glasswire. I've seen stuff go into the telemetry.
And you know it's going, and you know they're spying.
Now I just want to see what's in it.
You need to write something to capture all that stuff and just start surfing. Surf the net, open up some files, look at some porn, do some Skype messages, see what's being captured.
So basically everything I do every day? Okay, I can do that. No, that would be a good video. I like that, actually. That's a really good video. Now, there is the chance that the data is encrypted, but even if it's encrypted, I should be able to get a rough estimate of how much data is being sent.
Look at the yeses.
A lot of yeses in there. You guys want to see that? Oh my God! Absolutely, yes.
Microsoft wouldn't have any sort of a legal foot to stand on, because it's your data that you have access to see what's being
I'm not worried about Microsoft from a legal perspective. If I'm capturing data on my own box that's going to their servers, that data belongs to me. It does not belong to them. So
see, Jay have good idea.
Jay is so smart. He's so smart.
I want to pet the rabbits.
You know what's funny? I'm actually just to make this much more fun, I'm gonna use Microsoft's packet sniffer that they released in the SDK to do this experiment. Netmon. I'm actually gonna use Netmon, which I believe is still a publicly available Microsoft binary.
Can you compare by running two at the same time and see if Microsoft is omitting things from their own sniffer packet or their own sniffer source?
I could, but I don't think they are, because I've actually seen the source code to Netmon, because I used to use it heavily internally. So unless the external version that they ship is heavily crippled, it grabs everything off the network stack. Yeah, there it is. Microsoft Network Monitor 3.4 archived version. Here it is. I'm downloading it right now.
So you guys know what Jerry's next video is going to be, because this is an easy one for you to do.
Actually, this one isn't that easy for me to do, because I have to collect a lot of information, and breaking the packets down is actually kind of difficult, because this tool doesn't do it for you. But
sounds to me like this is going to roll into
I'm motivated, though,
Nerdgasm behind the scenes.
I would love to be able to actually put a face to the data that's going. Because here's the thing is, guys, telemetry is bad. It is good for software development. It really is. It's good for somebody to know how often apps use it, how much an app is crashing and stuff like that. But telemetry can become really invasive really fast, and that's where I'm mad at Microsoft right now, because Microsoft is doing everything where they just include you in everything, and then you have to magically go figure out how to get out of it. Telemetry should be an inclusive model, just like it was in Windows 7, where you're like installing it. It's like, do you want to send metrics to Microsoft to help us improve our software? Yes. In Windows 10, it's not that.
The Shock just donated you $5 to fund the packet sniffer video.
To fund the packet sniffer video? I just installed it. There it is. Microsoft Network.
And Dome Shining sent $1 to get me a cookie.
Get you a cookie. You can have a cookie. Let's see where we are at likes wise. No, that would be a good video though to see what they're sending. But the thing with telemetry, guys, is there's anonymous telemetry, right? Which is just like, oh, a computer crashed once. But the thing is when they're logging the data, they're probably logging the IP address that data came from, which I am not okay with. I'm not okay with later on if some entity wants to see how many times I went to a certain website or something like that because Edge told them, and Edge does. Actually, we figured this out with Glasswire. Every time you connect to a site in the Microsoft Edge browser, data of some form is sent to their telemetry server.
You know what's funny is someone just said it went by too quick. So do the video. Imagine the press. You know, I don't think you would get coverage on this video on Business Insider and stuff like you were before because Microsoft is advertising the update on all of these tech sites.
Yeah, no,
so that'd be
right
right hand, left hand. But you're doing it to inform the people, not it wouldn't be about trying to.
And the truth is, a video like this would spread.
The most people you could get to watch this video would be furthering the message. But yeah, I think just like he's saying with the press, I don't know if mainstream tech press would show this video because they'd be biting off their own source of income on that one. Microsoft literally for the last several months, MSN. I like to look at MSN News every now and then. Every single day there is a Microsoft update to Windows 10 for free ad. Every single day. I don't wonder how much money they're actually spending on the ads.
I've never seen Microsoft push an operating system as hard as they're pushing Windows 10.
You never needed to because they were like the only operating system people cared about. But now they want people on obviously this specific version of it. No,
I mean I can tell you the reasoning behind it, and the layoffs tied into that too. Is that Microsoft wants to unify everything. Windows Phone used to be a separate entity, Xbox used to be a separate entity, Windows Desktop is a separate entity, and even the laptop version RT of Windows was a separate entity. They're trying to bring them all together so that all the computers can run the same software and all the computers can give the same telemetry. That way, whether you're on your desktop computer, whether you're on your cell phone, whether you're on your Xbox, or whether you're on your tablet, Microsoft is getting a constant stream of data telling them exactly what you're doing and how often you're doing it. So that I need to
address something in chat. Psycho Gamer says what Microsoft does is not illegal. You accepted it in the terms of service. Read it before you accept. I don't know if he's responding to someone in chat saying it was illegal. Jerry never once said that what they're doing is illegal. What he has said is that what we're doing is morally wrong.
It's morally wrong and unethical. It's like lots of things are legal.
There was a paper I had to write once in college when I was doing political science where it was I had to argue the difference between ethics and legality.
Yep.
And it's funny where those two usually ethics fuels legalities, but ethics can also be used at the same time to fight laws. But what they're doing right now is legal, but completely ethically wrong.
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. Microsoft could collect everything that they're doing right now, because a lot of people play the argument. It's like, oh, Apple and Google do the same thing, and Amazon does and everything. I get this. But the thing that you guys don't understand, the reason why this makes me really, really angry is that Microsoft is being covert about it on purpose. Yeah. Microsoft is opting you in when you install the operating system. They're making it exceedingly difficult to disable the settings or even know that they're there in the first place. They're telling you that you should leave Windows 7 and update to Windows 10 and trying to play on your fears. They're spamming update dialogues at the bottom of the screen telling you that you're going to get a better experience. You should update to the new Windows. And everything. Go ahead.
If I never clicked that button that said I'm interested in getting my free copy prior to the launch, would you still get those those little update pop-ups?
Yes.
So it didn't matter if you opted in prior or not; you would still get spam.
Correct. You get spammed. Okay. I installed a brand new VM with Windows 8.1 about a month ago, and as soon as I logged in, the very first thing I did to log in is create his account. Is it says downloading updates. The machine rebooted, and as soon as downloading updates, that thing popped up, and I was like, "Son of a bitch." So even on a clean machine. But here's the thing, guys. If when I installed it, and I'm not talking about a 400-page EULA that's worded in legal technobabble, if they had a page that said, you agree to send all of your search results, all of your voice prints, all of your stuff from Cortana, all of your stuff from clicking on shit, every photo that you open, you agree to send information to Microsoft. If they had that on a page that was like, you agree to do all this, push this button if you're okay with it, otherwise the default is we're not going to send anything, I'd be cool with it. They can do whatever they want, because then people are saying, you know what, I don't care about privacy, I care about Microsoft knowing everything I can do so they can improve the software for me. That's
like your video proved, you have to go through extensive extra steps to not allow it.
And it's obvious from
and they're still working around that to make it happen, even though you opt out.
Yeah, and they even had another thing where they released an update that re-enabled everything because people were disabling telemetry. So they released an update that re-enabled all, and they claimed that it was a bug. Guys, I was a tester for 15 years at Microsoft. There are unit tests for that shit. You don't accidentally ship a piece of software that turns a bunch of shit off. You just don't. That's that. Unless their testing has gotten that bad, in which case, I'm sorry, Microsoft. You guys really need to hire your testers back. But I'm just saying that Microsoft's doing. Yeah, I get the feeling that Microsoft's definitely in the business of just playing oops.
Yeah.
It's too many freaking oopses in a short period of time for me to take them seriously. But me, I like Windows 10 as an operating system. I'm running Windows 10 right now. But what I don't like is that people they're using fear tactics. They're using constant spamming. They're trying to harvest accidental clicks on the freaking update dialog and letting your machine install at like 2 a.m. in the morning. They're doing everything they can to get Windows 10 on your box, and the reason being is because they want that telemetry. Right. That telemetry that they get from you helps them create products and sell products and market things to you that you're more likely to buy. And Microsoft wants to get in the business, and they did for a long time. Yeah. They want to get in the business of making services because services make money. Everybody is connected now. Google makes money. Apple makes money. Everybody makes money from online services. So Microsoft's just trying to poise themselves for it. But what I don't like is the ethics involved with them not letting you know what they're doing.
Two things. One, in chat, someone asked if a VPN will help. No, that just changes where they think the data is coming from. It doesn't change the data. Two, we're 45 minutes past the end of the show, dude.
Oh, shit. Are we really?
And I'm hungry, and the baby's going to bed soon.
My bad. We gotta wrap it up. Do we got time to take like one more Ask Tech Talk? And then
if it's not about Microsoft.
All right. Not about Microsoft or 3D printing. Got it.
Yes.
All right. This will be an easy one. James Biscos asks, what is your opinion on Linux?
I don't use it. I mean, again, I have no reason to use Linux.
I have no reason to use it except for if you have low-end hardware and you want to run servers for things, Linux is absolutely amazing. Linux has a great small footprint and runs fantastic on low-end hardware. I mean, that's what I would say about it. And just a couple shout-outs for some of the people that have been donating. Thank you so much for the donations. They help a lot. Dome Shining $1 said, not too long, Jerry. Patch being sent to you now. Mason1 said, I'm on Windows 7. I've never had a single neg pop-up for Windows 10, probably because you have automatic Windows updates disabled. If those automatic
which you
Windows
could still do.
Yeah, which you could do in Windows 7 and you can't do in Windows 10. So another thing they want to take away from you. Jason Andrus says, Jerry, can you make a program to kill the Windows 10 pop-up Codegasm? Actually, there's a million programs out there that already do it. All you got to do is remove an update off of your system. But they keep changing which update it is, so just Google it. Peter M says, let's see, for no rants and the software?
I have no idea what that means.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. IRTS10 said, Goonies or Star Wars? Goonies.
I equally like both. I've worn out the VHSs of both of those.
Wow. Okay, that's.
So I grew up on Goonies with my sister. We loved Goonies. She used to call me Sloth. I used to rock around. Hey, you guys. But yeah,
I used to
and then because I was a chubby younger kid, she used to always call me Chunk. And so, I mean, obviously, guys, you know Jerry was going to say Goonies. He keeps talking about the Truffle Shuffle.
I do love some truffle. Actually, hold on. Let me refresh. Let's see. Did we reach the Truffle Shuffle?
I don't think so.
Nope, 1261. Sorry, guys. We'll have to shoot for it on episode 101 of Tech Talk, which will be on Jay's channel, which will make it that much sweeter. Yes. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and shut things down. I'm sorry if you made a donation. I missed your name. I apologize for that. Come over and hit me up on Twitter if that is the case. The chat is a little bit weird over here, but thank you, everybody, for your support. We legitimately love it. And tune in again next Thursday at 5 p.m. when we will be over on JayzTwoCents channel. His link is down in the video description, but chances are every single person in here watching right now knows very well who both of us are. All right, well, Jay and I are going to go eat some food, and I'm going to actually give some thought to how I want to do a video on Windows 10 privacy issues. All right, guys. Later, and until next time.
Peace.
Peace.